but is Ottinger in Dallas probably the best goalie left?
It's arbitrary at this point.
But I mean,
well, it sure as hell isn't Skinner in Edmonton.
although they pushed him hard for the Calder. I don't know if he's going to get it or not, but there was a late push for Skinner. All the Canadians pushing for him to win it.
That's great. Oh, that's wonderful.
So if you're Turner, because you got the finals this year, are you rooting for Vegas or Edmonton?
I think Edmonton.
You think you're rooting for McDavid over the American market? I will say Gretzky might actually have to come back to work. Felipe, you got your Heat stuff on?
Yes, sir. I have a Heat quarter zip on. Oh, the Heat just grabbed another offensive rebound.
Yeah, no kidding.
I said to him, I don't know if I've ever seen a softer team in my life than what I watched in the fourth quarter last night.
They grabbed more offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter than they did the whole game. They had 6 through 3 quarters, 7 in the fourth.
That's as soft of a fourth quarter performance as you can imagine out of a team. That's just pathetic.
And the game was very much there for the taking. I mean, the Heat missed 12 of their first 15 shots of the fourth, and the Knicks cut 3 points off the lead.
Stayed up for the entirety of Lakers Warriors.
So I didn't, but from what I read, people were saying it was the strangest, best game they've seen in a while.
Yes, absolutely.
That the officiating was horrendous. Steph was amazing but ran out of gas. And that Lonnie Walker won the game.
Yes.
I wouldn't call it horrendous officiating, but there were some.
I will say, now the NBA is now also starting to piss me off. The flopping that's going on in the NBA is a step away from soccer. And the officials are rewarding all the flopping. And there is definitely a block charge problem in the league.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Did your week get off to a good start? Thanks for spending part of it with us. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Mark, how are you this fine morning?
I'm doing very well. David, yourself?
You know, I'm doing okay. Doing okay. I always attack a Tuesday with a little more gusto. Tuesday, the least favorite day of the week. That every time they do a survey, all right, Tuesday gets the least amount of votes. All right. And if you think about it, besides, minor league sports drinking specials and radio station 2 for Tuesdays, I mean, what does Tuesday have going for it?
It's better than Monday.
That's what I would think.
It's better than, I had an old college friend, Tom Stewart, who had his adage. There should be 2 Tuesdays, no Mondays.
He was selling that, was he?
He was trying to sell that a long time ago, 30 plus years ago in East Lansing. He tried to sell that. I thought it worked then. I still think it works now.
So you and I were selling the 4-day work week. He was selling the 2 for Tuesdays.
Long time ago.
But so I attack a Tuesday. I'm like, you know what? Apparently nobody likes a Tuesday. Nothing's going on a Tuesday. That people apparently show up. Some people, Mark, actually show up for work on Monday and are enthused. They actually like to work. They like their jobs. They like the people they work with. So they look forward to Monday. Your daughter, all right, a bright, optimistic, happy child, loves school. I think from what you've told me, she bounces out of bed on a Monday morning like, let's go, baby.
No, you're right. She's ready to go. And even you and I, David, I don't want to say look forward to Monday morning, but we know on Monday morning, particularly yesterday, a great weekend of sports,
right?
We were ready to go. There was a lot of food on that plate. It was a smorgasbord.
Right. But what about Tuesday? Now what? Can we talk about something that took place over the weekend? Or are we outdated? Can we look ahead to the weekend? Or, come on, guys, it's too far away. I can't even see it from here. So I feel as if my own little personal pep talk, I got to bring a little something to a Tuesday.
It's a dadgum good point.
I don't know what I'm bringing, mind you, but I'm bringing it. So there.
Well, then, in that case, bring it, Moulton.
Well, I got to admit, some of what I'm bringing, I was hoping to, maybe wait till a little bit later in the show. We got David Samson coming up at the top of the hour, and then maybe after that, I just thought for the moment we would relish in the fact that the Heat joined the Panthers, their South Florida brethren, and being a game away from the conference finals. Man, oh man, these two teams are damn near going to take us through the month of May.
And that's good news for the Florida Sports Network in Miller and Moulton. There is no doubt. And while the Heat deserve all credit for a nice win last night, can we talk about another offensive rebound? How the hell, if you're the New York Knicks, that you could look yourself in the mirror this morning? I'm serious. That game was there. Miami tried in the fourth quarter to allow the Knicks back in the game by poor shooting. But the Knicks had zero effort to get to rebounds. Zero. I've never seen anything. I have never seen a team so heartless in a game that if they don't win, their season's basically over.
Well, you've probably seen it. You just haven't seen it this week. But there's no doubt Julius Randle, after the game, said, it appears as if Miami wants it more. Now, think about that. For a professional athlete who's part of a team to admit publicly that the other guys are playing harder, what an indictment that is. Also, Mark, why I did not like the Knicks' chances last night. And while they played harder and better than they certainly did in Game 3, I thought the Heat broke them in Game 3 a little bit. And I thought you saw it last night. The Knicks are not playing with the confidence that they had a week ago. The Heat have out-toughed them. And nobody had out-toughed the Knicks. The Celtics didn't out-tough the Knicks. Knicks played very well against the Celtics this year. Sixers didn't out-tough the Knicks. Embiid sometimes was a monster, but they didn't out-tough the Knicks. Okay, nobody out-toughed the Knicks. The Heat are beating the Knicks at the Knicks bread and butter, and it's affected them.
And David, I just wrongly assumed, we all know the mistake in that, is that so many of these playoff series have not been a series in that one game builds to the next. They've sometimes been their own 7 one-game series, if you will. And I just thought that the Knicks would be able to shake off a game. It was on the road. You can look at the different reasons why, and that they would come back and have a superior effort. I thought they would win. That they didn't win matters not to me. I thought that they would have a much better effort. Yeah, they had a better effort than Game 3, but their effort in the fourth quarter was much like their Game 3 effort. They looked as if they were beaten as Miami kept getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound, extending possessions and giving the Knicks every chance to get back in the game, and yet they didn't seem to want to.
Heat began the fourth quarter missing 12 of 15 shots, and the Knicks cut the deficit from 9 to 6. That was the game right there. The game was there to be had for the Knicks. And once they let that moment go, it was over. Never got within 6 the rest of the way. And Mark, I do think we're seeing, like at the end, besides Steph Curry's greatness, what mattered in the Golden State-Sacramento series? Experience. It did. At the end of the day, the Warriors shook hands with the Kings when that series was over and said, you have no idea how much better you're going to be next year going forward because you played in this series. All right. Trust us. We've been there. And now it was a while ago, but we've been there. All right. And I think the Heat, the Heat bench is outplaying the Knicks. The one advantage the Knicks had coming into this series was their bench. It was a clear advantage. Everybody admitted, Knicks bench. And look what they did to Cleveland. Look at the Knicks bench throughout the year. All right. Yeah. Heat outscored them again last night off the bench, 30-something to 10? I mean, honestly, the Heat bench is killing the Knicks. What do the Heat have coming off the bench? Experience. I mean, Kyle Lowry was part of an NBA champion. Now, there's no doubt there's a little bit of, I feel as if the Heat, and Felipe, you're too young for this, I do feel as if we're getting a little bit of Ali rope-a-dope from the Heat. Because the Heat literally for 6 months, individuals and as a team, did not play like this. I mean, Kyle Lowry was a disaster this year. A disaster. He was fat. He was out of shape. He was ineffective. Then he gets hurt. All right. And when he comes back, he plays his way into shape, but he agrees to come off the bench. It actually made him more effective and the Heat a better team. But Kyle Lowry only showed up this season about a month ago. Like play-in week. Remember when he was the only one who played well against Atlanta in the play-in loss? And it was like, where the hell's this Kyle Lowry been? And now Kyle Lowry is that key veteran off the bench, and the Knicks ain't got a Kyle Lowry. They thought they had a Kyle Lowry. It turns out they don't have one. Emmanuel quickly ain't a Kyle Lowry, and then he gets hurt.
But you're getting out toughed.
Yep.
And you're losing these 50-50 balls. You're getting out hustled. You're getting out toughed by guys that shouldn't intimidate you. They just shouldn't. It's one thing for Jimmy Butler to beat you, okay? We get it. He's a dog, as Felipe said before the show. He's a dog among puppies. There's just no question there. But that Strus and Kevin Love and these guys are beating you to balls. It's unbelievable. And all credit goes to Miami for their hard work. But man, oh man, the Knicks are going to have a long offseason looking in the mirror at what could have been.
And now the Knicks just have to give themselves a chance to go back to Miami for redemption. Can they do it? I mean, we've seen from the Heat ain't taking a day off. When they were up 3-1 going to Milwaukee, okay, and we figured the Heat would just rally to make sure you can come home and win Game 6 and close this series out. They said, no, actually, We'll go to Milwaukee and close the series out. Remember after they won game 1 against the Knicks and Butler was hurt and he doesn't play in game 2, and it's kind of like, well, okay, series will be 1-1 going back to New York. Yeah, barely. Heat had the lead with 4 minutes to go in game 2. So we know what we're getting from the Heat in game 5. Can the Knicks suck it up, tough it up, and force a game 6? I said it yesterday, and I meant it. There are times in which, and Mark, you've seen it. I mean, listen, your favorite hockey team's the Red Wings. How many series did the Red Wings, with a ton of talent in the mid-90s, have to lose before they realized exactly what it took to dance with Lord Stanley? And ultimately, what does it come down to? A lot of times, toughness.
Sacrifice. Toughness. The intangibles that we can't really describe. And that's Heat culture. That at the end of the day is what they talk about and everybody else tries to emulate.
And it's funny, the Knicks out-toughed the Cavs, and the Heat said, hold my beer.
Because the Knicks thought that they were going to be able to out-tough the Miami Heat.
Well, at least be as tough. Right. Like they've got this double-headed monster at center that they were proud of. And they absolutely overwhelmed Evan Mobley and the Cavs front court. So they figured they'd be able to keep Bam Adebayo in check. Yeah, the two Knicks centers last night combined for 8 points, 10 rebounds. Adebayo at 23 and 13 by himself.
So the Miami Heat, with a commanding 3-1 lead, looking to head back to the conference finals.
Third time in 4 years.
This time as an 8 seed.
Man, Jimmy Butler's going to play about 35 games next year. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay, McMillan, I'm going to say it again. That's question is not correct. Vita Blue won the MVP in 71. Pete Rose won the MVP. Oh, AL MVP. Yes, because Pete Rose won the MVP in 73.
Effing Blackhawks. Don't even get me started. Ruined my night last night. Of course it's fixed. You can ruin the Red Wings 3 years in a row, not give them crap. And then the damn Blackhawks go from 3-1. Unbelievable.
Yeah, ABN, I think the Heat have a chance against anybody. Well, Bedard to any really good hockey market is a good fit. You know, Chicago, Detroit, Philly, Washington, Pittsburgh, any of those would have been great for the league. People would have lost their mind if Pittsburgh got him.
Pittsburgh had no shot at him.
Well, they have 1.5%.
No, they had no shot at him. If they had no shot, the 12 through 16 had zero shot.
Oh, really? Well, then why did they list odds?
The way I read it is if 12-16, like they had no shot, that they were the best they could do was like fourth or it's really weird, the NHL lottery.
If a team ranked 12 through 16 wins the first lottery, it would move up the maximum number of spaces, and the team lowest in the standings would slot in at number 1.
There you go.
So that would have been Anaheim?
Columbus, I thought. Yes, I hate the Blackhawks, ambient heat. Have trouble with Chris Chelios ever wearing a Red Wing uniform. I hated the Blackhawks so much. Best uniform in sports, by the way. Best logo that there is.
You like the red jersey or the white?
White.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and the old Norris. I really don't like many Chicago sports teams either. There's a little dribbler in like the 5th. McClanahan goes to play it and slips.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of got up and grimaced. I'm like, oh, no.
I will say the Rays are really testing their pitching depth.
10 seconds.
They may actually have to go get some arms at some point.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. David Samson to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Heat victorious last night over the Knicks, a win and a cover. Felipe with his first back up the truck bet, I believe, in Miller and Moulton show history. I believe last night was the first time, yesterday, that he backed up the truck on a prediction.
He did.
Look, there are levels in the NBA playoffs, and the Miami Heat are on a different level than the New York Knicks, because the Knicks looked like a lottery team last night.
Let's not get crazy. Come on now.
Let's
not get crazy.
Set up to make himself look so good there, and then he just has to go deliver a line.
Come on.
Okay, but they're not a lottery team.
Come on.
I didn't say they are. I said they looked like it.
No,
Down the stretch of that game.
Actually, they didn't.
Did not look like a lottery team.
Oh, they looked like they were trying to lose.
No, the other team looked as if they were better equipped to win. That's what happens in the second round of the playoffs. We see it in football every year. Okay, that's the Giants going to Philadelphia. The Giants look pretty good going into Minnesota. The Giants go to Philly and the Eagles go, yeah, there's a whole big difference between you and me. Big difference. That's what the Heat are letting the Knicks know right now. Guys, you're a nice team. You're
that
a good
series with Cleveland
team.
was cute.
Yeah, you're a good, solid team. You won like 47, 48 games. Congratulations. Okay, you're building something. Okay, good for you. Yeah, we compete for championships over here. That's what we do. So, you got a cute little thing going over there. Keep at it. Good luck. It's okay with you guys. We'll just move on to Boston or Philly.
You have to feel bad for Brunson. He really did have a great game.
Finally. Yeah, that's finally. And that's the thing. I mean, the Knicks' three best players scored 70 points last night. It's not like their three best players didn't show up. And the Heat still beat them. And that's, it's another thing. By the way, Mark, if you're all these teams out there, is it fair to say the Knicks don't have a great player? A great player.
That's fair to say.
Even though Julius Randle's going to finish second or third All-NBA, even though Jalen Brunson got an MVP vote, okay, and he was terrific this year.
You just listed their greatest accomplishments.
Right, but if you, with the Miami Heat, you look at Jimmy Butler, and you go, yeah, he's a level above anything the Knicks have. When it matters, he's a level above anything the Knicks have.
You know what? Where I saw it is that when Miami needs a bucket, Butler scores. There was a few times last night Brunson got down into near the paint and made good moves and just didn't convert on shots that Jimmy Butler was making.
Yeah. Right.
And it's not necessarily a knock on Brunson.
No.
It's just the difference between the go-to guy when you need a bucket. Jimmy Butler seems to always be able to get you that two when you need it to calm everything down. And the Knicks last night had 4 or 5 different opportunities that they had to score early in the fourth quarter and couldn't find a way to put the basket in.
And if you look right now in the association, I don't know how you can win a championship if you don't have a great player. And we all know, legitimately great. Not a sportscaster calls him great. Jalen Brunson can have great games. He's had a great season. Jalen Brunson's not a great player. Julius Randle had a great season. He did. He's 2 of the last 3 years, by the way. He's had great seasons. Is Julius Randle a great player? No. He's a level below that. Jimmy Butler, great player. Period. End of sentence. Nothing else has to be said. And look at the rest of the teams we have left, Mark. People can say whatever they want. They don't like this Jokic guy. Great player.
Great player.
Great blankety blank player. Phoenix got 2 of them. Great players. Great players. All right. Golden State got Steph. Lakers got 2 of them. They do. And Felipe, you stayed up, right, to the end?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Most impressive thing going. The game is on the line last night. I want you to think about this. You don't even have to be all that big into the NBA. Game is on the line last night. 1-point game, 3-point game. Do you know who the Lakers put on Steph Curry? Anthony Davis. Think about it. They put their center on one of the greatest players of all time, a guard. That's how athletic he is. That's how much length he has. Okay. And by the time Curry was done, Curry just hoisted up like a 32-footer. Like, I can't do anything against this guy.
Because I don't know, we want to make Clay a great player, but Clay's right at that very good, because last night when they needed him, and in the series when they've needed him, he's not been able to deliver.
Yeah. And maybe 5 years ago he was. Maybe
but he's not right now.
But he's not now. No, they got 1. The other guys got 2.
And again, great moments for sure, because Klay Thompson had 8 3-pointers in game 3 of the series.
Was it game 2, right? To tie it up?
2, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Had a great game.
Right.
No longer a great player.
In the 2 road games where you define greatness.
Right.
Now, look at Boston and Philly. Philly clearly has won. He just won the MVP. And Harden is, because he's at 45 and 42. And in between those games, he shot 5 for 28. So I guess it depends which Harden shows up. Philly has 1 with an asterisk. And then the question is, does Boston have 2?
Yes.
Okay, so you think Brown goes with Tatum?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. What I've watched of this series, and I'll say I'm the novice between the 3 of us, and I still love the game of basketball. They've got 2.
So if you're putting a team, if you're a general manager, isn't this year's playoffs, it's right there for you. It's right there. Even though LeBron's 38, still qualifies. He does. He's still at that level.
So the lesson is, if you have a great player, pay him.
Well, yeah, and fine. And if you can, do whatever you have to do to get him a Robin. And that's why Phoenix giving up basically the rest of their roster to get Durant in the long run is a smart play. Look at the Lakers last night. They won a game because they have a Lonnie Walker.
They have 7 Robins.
Yeah.
Lonnie Walker checked into the game in the 4th quarter and scored all 15 of his points in the 4th.
Right. But eventually you can, look at the Heat. They got a bunch of guys now. 6 points here, 8 points here. Kyle Lowry going, kind of like this 23 minutes a night. I'm getting older. This is pretty good. But
Bam had most of his productivity early.
Which I guess he was listening to the doubters, because he's slowly been getting more active offensively.
I think he's listening to Orlando Alcigari's podcast.
Yes.
Because Orlando's been saying, hey, play to your salary there, big fella. Come on now. We need you.
And when he can shoot 60% from the floor and get his 23 points, it's amazing what can happen. Miller and Moulton. David Samson to join us in a half hour's time. The starting 5 is on the other side. We'll get to everything that you missed from last night right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ambien, the difference between Bedard and Shane Wright is staggering. Because Shane Wright didn't go number one. Now, a lot of people thought he should have, but there are only like 3 players in the last 20 years who maybe would be taken ahead of Bedard.
They're named McDavid and Crosby.
Crosby.
Paper City, it could happen. It could happen. I think every single possible finals matchup left would be amazing.
You mean in where? NHL or NBA?
NBA. Like, imagine if we get a Sixers Nuggets finals. You have Jokic versus Embiid.
No one would watch.
Right. But that's like the one that no one would, that people would watch the least.
That's actually a great question, Mr. Boutte.
Like, like Wembanyama or Connor?
Yeah. I mean, it's a really good question.
Yeah. I mean, what does Connor have that stick? Because, Wembanyama has the height plus the shooting. What does Connor have? Is he a good skater?
He's a ridiculous skater, and he's a ridiculous scorer.
There you go.
He's small. That's the only thing against him. He's not a big guy.
How tall? How big?
I want to say Bedard's only like 5'9", 5'10", but I'm not positive.
Ooh.
But in today's NHL, you can do that.
Fast.
Jack Hughes.
5'10", yeah.
I mean, it's possible he could grow. He's 17.
Wait, he's 17.
Yeah, that's when you get drafted into the National Hockey League into Major League Baseball.
Wow. Talking about, I mean, that's like LeBron-esque.
Mm-hmm.
No, Mr. Boutte, that's the one final that would be just absolutely dreadful ratings would be Denver, Miami.
It'd be the worst.
You could put that one on Bally Sports.
The Mile High Sports Network or whatever the hell. I've said this before, but I hate Bally Sports' scoreboards. I don't like them. They're too big. It's such a weird thing to hate, but I'm sorry, I just do.
You talking about on the bottom or like the top corner?
On the bottom. I hate their scoreboards. The score bug. I hate it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. David Samson, he will join us coming up at the top of the hour. Over-unders, Mark. You asked, what do I bring to the table on a Tuesday? Within the next hour, you know what I'm going to bring? Some new over-unders. Some of them are going to shock you. College over-unders.
Oh, I thought maybe you had new MLB over-unders and they listed Tampa at 122.
And a half. And a half. It is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
the Heat, a win away from their third trip to the conference finals in 4 seasons. Miami held off the Knicks 109-101. Jimmy Butler, 27 points, 10 assists. Bam Adebayo, 23 points, 13 rebounds. The Heat, with the game in question in the fourth quarter, struggling offensively, missing 12 of their first 15 shots, grabbed 6 offensive rebounds total in the first 3 quarters, grabbed 7 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter alone.
First 6 of those in the first 4 minutes, I believe.
Jalen Brunson with 32, but not enough for the Knicks. Game 5 Wednesday. Game 5 will also be Wednesday in the Lakers-Warriors series, and LA is up 3-1 in that one. LeBron, by the way, never part of a team that's been up 3-1 and lost a series. And he's played in a few series. Golden State took a 7-point lead to the fourth quarter. Lakers eliminated it in 90 seconds. Game was back and forth the rest of the way. Lonnie Walker came off the bench in the fourth quarter and outplayed Steph Curry, scoring 15 points. Steph, by the way, 31 points, 10 rebounds, 14 assists.
It's because Lonnie went to a basketball school, guys. University of Miami, you know?
It's the third 30-point triple-double Steph has had in NBA playoff history. That's pretty impressive. LeBron's had 15.
It is. Despite Steph's big night, he was 3 of 14 from three-point land and 12 of 30 for the game.
LeBron with 27. Anthony Davis, 23 points, 15 rebounds. Davis guarding Steph down the stretch. And you're right, Mark. Steph had to do it all. And they wore him down. Lakers 104-101. So the Heat and the Lakers each a game away. LA officially the 7th seed. Miami officially the 8th seed, even though they finished 7th in the East. So the two teams who finished in 7th place in their respective conferences are a win away from the conference finals. Tonight, a pair of game 5s. Philly and Boston. Stat of the day, Mark. Send it to Dan Patrick, see if he'll use it. The Celtics in their last 15 home playoff games are 7-8. Philly, a 7.5-point dog tonight in Beantown, 7:30 TNT. Denver, a 5.5-point favorite at home against Phoenix. I love the Nuggets tonight. Love them. Series tied at 2, both of them. Jokic, by the way, not suspended for pushing down the Suns owner. The owner came out yesterday and said, will everybody just stop it? He should not be suspended. Good for Matt Ishba. Of course, he did not comment on his flop. Which,
Bad.
Or, as owners go, legendary. Don't you think his status now, when they have the first owners meeting this summer, I mean, don't you think 3 or 4 of the owners are just going to like fall back into their chairs?
I think Cuban charges him.
I mean, do you think Riley walks over and goes, if you did that in our day? Honestly, it's a good thing you got all those billions. Otherwise, I wouldn't let you in the room. NHL, the Blackhawks won the NHL draft lottery.
Boo!
It's great for the league. Let's be
I
honest.
know.
And so the Blackhawks, 16 years after getting Patrick Kane, are going to get Connor Bedard.
Fix.
Maybe. Anaheim picking 2nd, Columbus 3rd. This apparently the deepest NHL draft in a long time. But Connor Bedard considered probably the 3rd best prospect of the last 20 years. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Only a McDavid and a Crosby may be ahead of him.
Right. And I don't even think Ovechkin was as highly thought of as Bedard. Last night in Edmonton, Oilers scored like a minute into the game and then never scored again. Vegas 5-1, but their starting goalie got hurt 8 minutes into the game. Adin Hill came off the bench with 25 saves for Vegas to take a 2-1 lead in that series. Game 4 tomorrow night. Got a lot of injured goalies in the playoffs right now.
Right. Samsonov on a play went into the net, the Toronto goaltender. You could see it. This goaltender last night, the Vegas goaltender, just went post to post and wasn't hit.
No. And Samsonov, if he did get hit, he got hit by his own guy. So, I mean, it's just strange times right now in the NHL. Tonight, a couple of game 4s. Jersey at home trying to even their series with Carolina. Seattle at home trying to go up 3-1 on Dallas. Like the Stars tonight.
I do too.
To even that series. Baseball. The juggernaut that are the Tampa Bay Rays took their act to Baltimore. Shane McClanahan didn't even have his good stuff and threw 6 shutout innings. He's 7-0. He almost has as many wins as like the Oakland A's and Kansas City Royals. Tampa Bay 3-0. Josh Lowe, Luke Raley with homers. One bad note for the Rays, though. And this is worth paying attention to. They put their 5th pitcher on the IL yesterday. Lefty reliever Garrett Clevenger. Don't know
He's
how many.
still on that rundown against the Yankees where he hurt himself on Sunday.
10th inning Sunday, tie game. Go ahead, run on third with 1 out. Play in the infield. Clevenger, the pitcher, ends up covering home. Tries to track down the base runner and trips over him and falls and apparently blew out his left knee. And so they expect him to miss the rest of the year. 5th pitcher, right knee, by the way. I'm sorry, right ACL. He's a lefty pitcher, but right knee. The Rays have the 3rd best bullpen ERA in the game, but boy, is their organizational depth already being tested. Mark, I would think at some point the Rays are going to have to start making some moves. They'll probably wait and what have you, but I would think at some point the Rays will bring in a veteran arm or two to help out. But
Don't answer the phone if you're the other 29 teams in baseball.
oh no, absolutely not. No. But the Rays are 29-7, by the way. Their lead over the Orioles now 6.5. Yankees hit 4 homers. Judge comes off the IL today. Yankees 7-2 over Oakland. Arizona with 3 in the 6th beat the Marlins 5-2, who dropped 2 games below 500. I'll tell you what, Mark, sports fans in Pittsburgh are really rallying to the first place Pirates. They came home after a tough week on the road, still in first place, though. It's an educated sports fan in Pittsburgh. 9,500 on hand to watch them beat Colorado 2-0 and snap a 7-game skid. Although Mitch Keller threw a complete game. How about that? They actually let him throw 103 pitches. I didn't know you were allowed to throw 100 pitches in a game anymore. I thought that was one of Manfred's new rules. It's kind of like, those state high school baseball tournaments, 75 pitches. I'm sorry, son, you're done. What do you mean I'm done? I'm throwing a no-hitter. You got to come out.
World Baseball Classic.
Cardinals beat the Cubs 3-1. Wilson Contreras, 2 RBIs for the Cardinals.
Do you know that that's the first series this season that the Cardinals have won the first game of the series? They had lost 11 straight first games of series. That's hard to do.
Yes, it really is. With as random as the pitching matchups can sometimes be in baseball and all that. Right.
That was my little stat of the day for you, David.
I like it. There you go. Which stat of the day is better? Send them both to the Dan Patrick Show. Let's see if they use either one. Milwaukee with 6 in the 7th beat the Dodgers 9-3. The Rangers were falling victim to a perfect game. Not only hitless through 6, no base runners through 6. And then once they got one guy on, they scored a couple and they beat Seattle 2-1. Ohtani had not 1 but 2 RBI doubles. He's hitting over 300. If the price can keep going up, I think the price is going up. 6-4 Angels over the Astros. Washington scored 5 in the first. Beat the Giants 5-1. MJ Melendez with a homer and 4 RBIs. The Royals 12 and the White Sox 5. And Detroit is 6-1 in May. And how about this stat? The Tigers have won every series they've played except against teams in the AL East. Everyone else they've played, the other 5 divisions in baseball, they've won the series. But against the AL East, they have gotten shellacked. And that's why they're still not even 500 yet. 6-2 Tigers over the... I don't know who they played. I wrote down
Guardians.
Washington. Thank you, because I wrote down Washington. I'm like, well, I know they didn't play Washington. Washington beat San Francisco.
Right. They had 5 in the first.
Right. Thank you.
See, I'm paying attention over here.
Well, I'm glad somebody is. Bob Huggins used a gay slur on a Cincinnati radio station yesterday. It's the same slur that Tom Brenneman, broadcasting in Cincinnati, used a few years ago. In Huggins' case, he put the word Catholics in front of the slur. He's yet to be fired. West Virginia, you can tell, is trying to hold on to him because Huggins immediately released a statement and West Virginia posted it on all their websites and Twitter. So they're still tying themselves to Bob Huggins. We'll see for how much longer.
Yeah, I don't think he makes it.
I think if he can get through today, he needs to get through today. By the way, I'm just throwing this out there. In West Virginia, I don't think it matters that he put the word Catholics in front of the gay slur. I'm just saying.
I don't think the Catholics are what he has to worry about, David.
No,
I really don't. I think the gay slur is what's going
We'll see.
to cause his demise.
We'll see. Here's the other thing to pay note of. Bob Huggins has a lot of friends in the national media. In fact, I challenge you to find one of them who's calling for his firing right now. Pat Forty is the strongest voice who said he'll probably lose his job. That's the strongest voice against Huggins I've found, except for Dan Dockich. Dan Dockich wants to string him up on Outkick. And finally, we have ourselves a college gambling scandal. It's confined to the state of Iowa, however, both the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones. Iowa has a staff member and 26 athletes across 5 sports that apparently bet on whatever. You can't bet on college or pro sports if you play a Division I college sport. Like, you can't bet on the NBA and the NFL. Can't do it. Even if it's legal in your state, can't do it. It's the rules. Those are the rules. Iowa State's got 15 athletes across 3 sports. By the way, the sports involved at Iowa are baseball, football, men's hoops, wrestling, and track and field. And at Iowa State, it's football, wrestling, and track and field. Remember, wrestling in Iowa is huge. These athletes are never going to play again. That's how that one's going to go. Apparently, by the way, there's no fixing of games involved. This is just betting on sports.
Just kids that are betting on sports.
Exactly. Online betting on sports. And you're not allowed to do it, period. End of sentence. Now, we can debate whether or not you should be allowed to do it. I mean, why shouldn't a college baseball player be allowed to bet on the Knicks Heat game? It's legal in the state if he's got the money, okay, but the NCAA doesn't let you do it. I mean, I'd advise all those athletes do it the way we all used to do it on campus. Cash.
When you need a guy. David, you and I have always advocated for the guy.
Right. And this is why, if you had a guy, you wouldn't be in trouble. Unless you owed him money.
They don't carry cash. And bookies don't take Venmo the last time I checked, David.
Right. And that was
the starting 5. Miller and Moulton. One of our favorite guests, David Samson, joins us next, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing well.
Nice to be back home.
Yes. I miss the camaraderie. It was good to work with a group of people, but I like being in and out. I wouldn't want to do it every day. So it's perfect, actually. How's the first hour?
Good.
A lot of heat talk.
Yeah.
There should be.
Yeah.
But not a lot of Rays talk?
A little bit
of Rays talk. Okay, we hyped up the Yankee series, and we talked a decent amount of Rays yesterday.
Got it.
Coming out of it. The beauty of baseball on display. They blow the 2-0 late lead Saturday and then rally 6-0 down Sunday. They just put their fifth pitcher on the IL though, Dave.
Yeah.
And it's May 8th, May 9th. I mean, that's
They play 500 the rest of the year. They win 90 games. So
see?
It's hard to
it's not just me.
No, you start thinking that as the front office as you get into the second week of May. As you keep winning these games, you look at downside scenarios, and you don't expect you'll play below 500. But if you regress to 500, you're still a 90-win team, and you're a playoff team.
Right, totally. They play a game below 500 the rest of the way. They win 91. .500 from this point on, they win 92 games.
Let's get to the really important stat, though. I just saw something graphic pop up in the first hour of the show on the 4-letter network there. 94% of their games have been played in 2.5 hours or less.
That's amazing.
Or I'm sorry, 3 hours or less. They're averaging 234. Averaging 234 for games right now.
The league is 239 or 237, something like that.
They start at 6:40. These games are over with by 9 o'clock.
It's beyond belief.
Every night. It's wonderful. When you got to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Where was that when I was there for 18 fucking years, getting home at midnight?
In fact, that's the question of the day. Would you still be in Major League Baseball if they made these rule changes 5 years ago?
I actually think the only way I'd still be in Major League Baseball is if Jose Fernandez were alive.
I'm going to ask you this later, but was that the best player you ever drafted? Because the Connor Bedard thing got me thinking of you and all of the great players that you – I mean, you were there for some unbelievable players. So I just – the NHL lottery got me thinking of you and the Marlins and the guys you drafted and the pressure that goes with making sure you get that right. Uh-oh, wheels are spinning.
God, we failed a lot, but man, we hit it big too. We drafted like billions of dollars worth of players. It's amazing, actually. They were kids. Now they're collectively billionaires.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And joined Tuesdays at this time by David Samson. He of the tremendous daily podcast called Nothing Personal with David Samson. It is live 8 a.m. weekdays. You can follow David on Twitter at David P. Samson, David the letter P. Samson. Good morning. How are you? You're back from Miami and your cozy confines in the city. How's life?
Everything is actually outstanding. It's finally not winter here in the Northeast. And just waiting on Metalark Media's studio to open, in which case I'll be doing this from their studios in New York or their studios in Miami. But I had a good trip to Miami, and just being around Miami with the Heat, the Panthers, the Grand Prix, it feels like South Florida is the focal point of sports, which as a New Yorker is obviously quite frustrating. And as a former Marlin guy, having the Marlins not involved in that is also frustrating.
I was curious. I was watching the NHL lottery last night during the halftime of the Heat game and just seeing where draft picks were going to go because there is a generational talent in the NHL. Connor Bedard is a generational talent. There are only a handful of guys you would list above him in the last 20 years, and he's going to go to Chicago. And I was thinking, David, you went through a lot of drafts. Who was the best player? Because you drafted some really good players. Who was the best player you ever drafted, and how much pressure did you feel when you were going into these drafts when you had opportunities to get generational talents?
So I love that question because in baseball, I never felt pressure because the odds of a draft pick making it are so small. Even a top pick in the first round, only 50% of the people in the first round roughly ever get to taste the big leagues. It's just a totally different thing. Like if you screw up the first pick in the NFL draft or in the NBA draft, or even sometimes in the NHL draft, you have a real problem. In baseball, every once in a while, there's a Bryce Harper or a Steven Strasburg or a guaranteed consensus number one who then turns out to be that type of generational player, but way more common in the other sports because it's so hard to project from the age that you draft them to when they're helping you in the big leagues, whereas the other sports, you draft them and then 3 months later, they're in your starting lineup or they're the centerpiece of your team. But I think where I enjoyed the draft the most is in the later rounds, like Giancarlo Stanton, getting him in the second round. That means that everybody passed on him. And we felt as though that by taking him, he would choose baseball instead of football, and he would become the player who he's become and get the contract he got. And obviously injuries are injuries, but he's still one of the most powerful hitters I've ever seen. I enjoyed drafting pitching because it's so hard to do, but when it works, God, does that feel good. When you can look at a high schooler pitch and then all of a sudden they're in the big leagues, or watching Christian Yelich turn into a power hitter, which is gone now, but he was a power hitter and an MVP, and he was this scrawny guy when we drafted him, and our scouts said, don't worry, he's going to get bigger, and it's not because of steroids. We've looked at the gene pool. He's going to be good. So it's such a crazy thing, the draft, but scouts feel pressure because we can fire him if it doesn't work out. I was never in danger of being fired for a bad draft.
For the longest time, you couldn't trade draft picks in baseball. Now I think they allow you to, considering the fact that the percentages of guys drafted, even tasting the show, as you said, if you're an organization, shouldn't you trade draft picks?
That was always my argument. And the reason why that was a rule goes all the way back to Charlie Finley. And Bud Selig had a point of view as commissioner that we do not want to let teams mortgage their future because young players matter so much. They're the most efficient way to build a winner is to grow your own. We would say from a marketing standpoint, we have homegrown players, so follow us all through the minor leagues, and that's a bunch of horse hockey. The fact is they're the cheapest talent that can get you the most wins, and so they didn't want teams to forego that funnel of talent. But now, the way it works, I believe that it is front offices who make the difference and intelligent baseball decisions that are far more important. So I've always been in favor of drafting picks. Like in the NFL or NBA, when you see teams without a first-round pick for multiple years, you do put a cap on it so teams can't totally screw themselves. But I think the team should have the right to trade whoever they want.
Talking with David Samson here this morning on the Florida Sports Network. When you look at, like last night, the Heat game, and I know you watched, and in the Knicks, when you see a team just get outworked, as a front office guy, is there anything more frustrating than that? Because you draft the players, you pick the players, and last night, hey, I give all the credit in the world to the Heat, but the Knicks get out-rebounded. They looked like they had less heart, and that's so frustrating as a fan. I'm guessing it's that way as a front office guy as well.
It's the worst, actually. When you know what's really easy in the front office is when you're not delusional. You look on the court or on the field and you say, we got beat by a better team. You know what? You go home, you lie down, you go to bed for 20 minutes, you wake up and start again. When you get beaten by a team that's worse than you, you get to say, well, it wasn't our day. No problem. We have another game tomorrow. And all of those I've done and live with. But when you get outworked the way the Knicks did, this was about defensive rebounding and the inability to get one when they needed it, not because the ball bounced in a weird way or clanked off the rim in a way that you can't expect. It's because the Knicks didn't have the right position inside. The Knicks were not the first to the loose ball. And those are called hustle points in baseball. It's not a hustle point, but we focus on when you could have taken an extra base, when you missed the cutoff man, when you have a mental error, not a physical error like the ball between your legs, those happens, but mental errors. We'll keep track of those and then count ours versus the other team. And if you make more than the other team of those types of errors or those types of mistakes, then you're beating yourself, and it would drive me absolutely insane. If you're the Knicks right now, forgetting what Jim Dolan thinks about, because who knows, but if you're Tibbs and you're looking at your team and you're looking at the Heat team, you're questioning your personnel for sure.
Well, Randall said after the game that I think they want it more than us. And if you
he said that direct quote?
Yes. Look it up. Post game, Julius Randle, I think they want it more than us. And we were saying, David, that first off, for a professional athlete, and a really good one, by the way, to say that, to feel that, to admit that publicly, what an indictment that is to you and your team.
Assuming he said that, because I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to get caught by saying something I don't want to say, but I'm going to say it now. Randall, who's supposed to be the leader of that team, he's a highly paid player, maybe the best or second best player on the team. If he sees that happening during the course of a game, the way we did as fans and people in the media, you get in that huddle the way PJ Tucker got in Embiid's face publicly, and you say, let's go right now. We are embarrassing ourselves. You don't say it in the media unless he said it to the team and the media caught it.
At the post-game podium, he said, maybe they want it more. I don't know.
That's it. The series is over. Just the fact that he would say that publicly, if you're a Heat fan, you're starting to focus on the Sixers and Celtics and hoping that series goes 7, because when the team hears you say that and when you have to say it, it is out. Lights out. Game over. Match over. I can't believe he did that. I'd go talk to him, even during a playoff series. I would say, listen, Julius, that's not what we want to do. I want you to do a closed-door meeting in the clubhouse. I want you to turn over the spread. I want you to get in people's faces. I don't want you on the post-game podium saying it, though.
So Mike Vaccaro's column, by the way, New York Post, you could look it up before you do your nothing personal. I do want to ask you, there's the second gambling scandal in the last week in college athletics. First, the Alabama baseball coach who called some people in Ohio and said, hey, bet against us. I just had to scratch my ace. All right. But now you've got Iowa and Iowa State athletes. You got 41 of them, along with a staffer at Iowa, who they're not fixing games. There's no evidence that there's anything improper. They just have bet on sports, and you're not allowed to in NCAA, just like the NFL won't let you bet on anything if you do it on their property, etc. How worried were you about this in your day? But also in your day, it was legal in 2 states. It's now legal in 33.
Yeah, I was much more focused on steroids and much more focused on drugs than I was on gambling. I knew that the players knew the lines. That's a common misconception, that players don't know the lines of the games in which they play. We all knew whether we were underdogs or favorites or what the money line was, but it wasn't accessible other than in a nefarious back alley type way. And we would talk to our players about it because it's such a third rail in baseball, given Pete Rose, et cetera. But it was not as pervasive as it is now. Now you're a click away, and they're all on their phones all the time. And we would put them on our Wi-Fi. I guess we can monitor the websites. We could block certain websites. But at the end of the day, you can't stop them from doing what they're going to do. It's a major problem. When baseball did not, along with every other sport, they weren't embracing the gambling money. Now it's opposite. You can't get through a broadcast without a talk of a same-game parlay or an in-game teaser, whatever the case may be. This is an issue, and you're seeing colleges get taken down now. Individuals get taken down. I think it's just a matter of time until it becomes the National Football League already had it only a few weeks ago. I think all those Detroit Lions players are suspended or out for the year. So do we think the only people doing it are the ones getting caught? That's the same as thinking the only people who do steroids are the ones who get caught. That is not accurate, just as it's not accurate that the people gambling are not the ones getting caught. It's way more.
Can you do anything about it?
Well, you can do something technologically inside the stadium. But other than that, the only possible deterrent is taking money out of their pockets. And the way to do that is you have to bargain it with the union on the professional side and say, we are going to treat this like we treat steroids. We are going to suspend people for 80 days, then 160, and then forever. And we'll know. There's a digital footprint. Believe me, we'll know. And there's one strike and you're out if you bet on your team or against your team. But if you bet on other sports in a way that violates our rules, it's the same as a PED suspension. But we need the union's help for that.
By the way, we're down to about a minute. Morally, if it's legal, don't you think, like, I understand baseball players can't bet on baseball, but shouldn't you be allowed to bet on everything else? I mean, shouldn't as a college athlete, quite frankly, you're in the state of Iowa, you're 21 years of age, you've got the money, as long as you don't bet on college sports, shouldn't you be able to place a bet on the Knicks Heat?
No, because to me, it's the appearance of impropriety. It's questioning the possible questioning of integrity. There's a whole lot of things that are legal that we can't do. And the reason we can't do them is the business we're in or who we represent or what we represent. And we need these athletes, while we're taking the gambling money, we need these athletes to represent complete integrity on the field. I don't want to give fans or people in the media the problem or the opportunity to say, but wait a minute, it's not their sport, it's other sports. Because now we're already on the road, which can end with, oh, crikeys, it was our sport. I don't want to give the opportunity for that.
Last week it was Tookus. This week it's crikeys. David Samson, nothing personal with David Samson. He'll be recording it live at 8 a.m. He does it every day during the week. Make sure you catch it. David, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. See you next week.
Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah.
Well, first off, he's not a bad pro. I mean, give me a break. He's going to be second or third team All NBA. Now, can he be the best player on your team and win a title? No. Oh, ambient, it will be interesting for the Knicks. You know, do they try to add to what they have, or do they start to trade away some of what they have?
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Some interesting numbers to throw your way coming up in a little less than 20 minutes. The Clutch Vodka play of the day is a handful of minutes away. Is it really as awful as David Samson makes it out to be if you as a player on the team or a coach on the team just says they're outworking us? Maybe they want it more. I mean, doesn't mean you're quitting. It just, I mean, couldn't that be the truth? Doesn't mean from this moment forward that it has to be the truth, but can't you acknowledge, hey, they're outworking us? You know, whatever it is that.
Well, David, it was certainly the 6 seconds that we look for.
Yeah, right. So if that is the 6 seconds of truth, if Julius Randle summed up the Heat Knicks series in 6 seconds, maybe they just want it more. I don't know. I mean, the Knicks coach came out and said they're outworking us. They're out hustling us. They got to every loose ball. Okay. They got every key rebound when they needed to. Okay. We were right there. They came away with the ball.
And if we got the ball, we stepped out of bounds.
I mean, can't you tell the truth anymore?
Sure. David's point was that's a conversation that needs the truth that needs to be told is inside the locker room, not on the podium. That's his beef.
Okay. All right. But, you know, we put these guys in these situations. We are trying to get this out of them. The league and the media covering all these leagues, what are we trying to do? We're trying to take the fans into the locker room. We're trying to find the 6 seconds of truth.
and we got it in that case. Of course, you and I don't have a problem with it. We live for this stuff. We want these guys to say as much to us as is humanly possible. We want to get behind the curtain. The question is, should the player ever allow us behind the curtain as to what he's really thinking as opposed to just telling his team? This is Godfather 1 when Santino tells the drug dealer there that he's interested. And the Don says, you don't ever talk away from the family. That's what this is. You keep it inside the family.
I understand, but I mean, can it be the truth? I mean, Spo and the Heat had talked about it all year. They complained about themselves all year publicly.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was about to say that if Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat were in the same exact scenario, would we be surprised if Jimmy Butler was saying that? No, not at all.
I would, because Jimmy Butler's the type of guy to me that wouldn't say it at a microphone. He'd say it with the locker room doors closed.
Well, I think he'd say it both ways. I think he'd say it and then proceed to say, yeah, I just told these guys, do you want it?
But that's completely different. It is. Felipe, it's the same words. If Randall would have got there and said, hey, I'm telling you the same thing I told the team.
Right.
They wanted it more than we do.
Right.
I just got done saying the same words in our locker room. We talked about it. We've got to fix that.
Right. Derrick Rose has a bigger voice on that team than Julius Randle, it seems. And that's just coming from the guys on the team who are saying that. You want your star player to be that vocal presence.
And maybe this is the series that helps him do that.
Or it's the series in which the Knicks realize, you know what, this little collection of talent can only get us to here. And now we have to do one of the most difficult things in sports. How do we go from pretty good / good to great? I mean, it's easy to go from bad to mediocre. It's not that difficult to go from mediocre to good. Now get to great. Now get to championship contender. We see it in football all the time. We see it in football all the time. And what is the common denominator? Got to find a quarterback.
And, it's not just these teams in basketball. It's Memphis that got beaten by Golden State.
Yeah.
It's the Cavs who have a nice young team. Are they a nice young team that's continuing to improve? There might be some greatness there. Or is it just a good team?
Look at what the Florida Panthers did, which to commend them even more. They made a really difficult, controversial series of decisions. They made the playoffs 3 years in a row. They put a very good, entertaining team together. They had one series win in the playoffs on their resume. The GM said, this ain't going to work. I got to add some toughness. In fact, I got to add a lot of toughness. I got to make some moves, big moves. And hell, they barely made the playoffs. They would have been one of the 3 biggest disappointments in the league with a week left in the season. And now they may win the damn cup.
Much easier, we would all agree, to do on the ice than it is on the hardwood.
Although you need more players on the ice, though, don't you?
Right, but you don't need... Finding the great one in basketball is so much more important. You can still win with a team in hockey.
True.
The Knicks could be a great hockey team if you know what I'm... If you
no
get
doubt.
the analogy.
You know who the Knicks are? The Carolina Hurricanes are the Knicks, and the Canes could win the cup. It's true. They're a good to very good team. A good to very good team can win the cup. A good to very good team
right,
cannot come close to winning an NBA title.
We try to be a good to very good show from times. We don't know if this segment's good, very good, or just mediocre, but we'll give it a shot anyhow. Felipe with our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us today?
So the Lakers have a few Hall of Famers on their team, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. They played pretty well last night. But down the stretch, it was Lonnie Walker the fourth, who came off the bench, scored all 15 of his points in the fourth quarter, and was acting like 1990 Michael Jordan and give me the ball and get the out the way. Let me work.
Oh, Lonnie Walker delivers another in the fourth quarter. Curry got a hand on that. Walker down, 5 to shoot. Walker's feeling it. Walker long 2. Okay, Lonnie Walker. Laker ball here. 2-point game. Lakers trail. Lonnie Walker's been excellent in this fourth quarter. He stays, and Lonnie Walker keeps it rolling. He's got 11, all 11 coming in the fourth. To your point, Coach, got to stay ready. Lonnie Walker guarded by Curry. Walker, pull up. Walker hits another one. It's the Lonnie Walker game.
They should call him Lonnie Walker the fourth quarter, if you know what I mean. You know, it's special because my senior year of high school, I went to most University of Miami home games, and I watched Lonnie Walker as a freshman just absolutely dominate the ACC. And seeing him do it on perhaps one of the most highly anticipated Western Conference series in recent history is incredible if you're a Hurricanes fan, and really amazing to watch if you're a basketball fan. That's your play of the day.
Clutch with a K, or is it with a U? I'm not sure exactly how he spelled it today, but he got the U in there.
Lonnie Walker with a really big K in Walker.
And a really thick U, you know, go Canes.
Just continuing this whole South Florida sports thing we got going on.
Basketball school.
Well, hasn't been a football school for a while. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know how absurd it is that those last two shots that Curry put up with Anthony Davis on him were probably the two shots I trusted the most for the Warriors? Like, step back contested shot. I thought it was going in. I'm like, oh, wow, he's about to make this. Stupid.
Well, you can't have anybody else shooting it.
Right. He's in his prime right now, Steph Curry. He's been in his prime since 2014. Also, the only way I'd ever get a Heat tattoo is if Tyler Hero won a league MVP, because I made a bet with my cousin.
That's the bet.
Yep. Hey, I was so sure. I'm like, I promise you he's not going to win a league MVP. He's like, all right. If he does, you have to get a tattoo. Number 14 hero. I'm like, okay, cool. So just pray that doesn't happen. You know, Paul, they do call Lonnie Walker Skywalker because he has hops. He had a game-winning layup in Miami where he went up with his right hand and, like Jordan, palmed it, switched to his left with the body, laid it in with like 0.1 seconds left. Should look it up. Like in the playoffs or all? That's got to be in the playoffs. Is the original Skywalker not Luke Skywalker?
Kenny Walker out of Kentucky in the mid-'80s. He was called Skywalker. Won a slam dunk contest when it was a thing.
Sorry. I don't know who Kenny Walker is.
I don't care. The fact that you said that the original Skywalker was Luke Skywalker. Are you out of your flipping mind?
True dead. Anakin, obviously. Technically. Oh, man. Where'd he go to college?
Kentucky.
David, is that true?
I wasn't reading what.
Sorry. What Fam said. That the reason they didn't take Mitchell is because they wanted to keep Grimes.
And I believe one too many first-round draft picks. But Fam, here's the thing: the Knicks just beat Donovan Mitchell's team,
right?
Easily.
They made him struggle.
Also, Donovan Mitchell's not a tough player. I like Donovan Mitchell against the Heat. I mean, he's a great scorer, but Donovan Mitchell's not tough.
He's also not tall. He's like 6'1".
Right. And which, by the way, is also the problem. Like, I think the Knicks, I think Damian Lillard wants to play for either the Nets or the Knicks. But if you put Brunson and Lillard in the same backcourt, first off, I don't know. I don't know who the guy is that the Knicks are going to have to break this nucleus up to get. But they're going to have to.
Yeah, DC, you can say that, but the Sexton part of that deal really isn't holding up too well. So far, we'll see. Anything's possible. We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. If you missed David Samson earlier this hour, make sure you go to floridasportsnetwork.com before the end of the show, and that segment will be up so you can download it. Mark, an hour ago I said I was going to throw some numbers at you. Last week we did NFL over-unders after the draft. Vegas updated them, and basically, what teams have done in the offseason, this 95+%, it's done. Maybe some guys get released, maybe a few more free agents are signed, but basically Vegas has set their over-unders. Lamar re-upped in Baltimore. Rodgers got traded. We know where the quarterbacks are. Tannehill likely not to be released in Tennessee. So here we go. So college waited, and now they're like, well, come to think of it, I guess we could release our over-unders. Let's start in the SEC. What do you think the Gators over-under is? Coming off back-to-back 6 and 7 seasons. Regular season is the only thing that counts. So basically for, Gators went 6 and 6 each of the last 2 years and then lost their bowl games.
It's either 7.5 or 8.5. I'm going to go 7.5.
Lower.
Excuse me?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, lower.
6.5.
Lower.
6.
Lower.
You're kidding me.
No.
The Gators get a bowl eligible and they go over, is what you're telling me.
You are correct, sir. The Gators over-under, official over-under, is the second lowest in the SEC. Only Vanderbilt has a lower over-under total than the Gators. Now, listen, Vegas could be out of their minds. But we have pointed out now for a while, it's a tough schedule. I mean, they open at Utah. That's probably a loss, considering they'll be a double-digit dog with a new quarterback. They got to play Florida State, who's a legitimate top 10 team if they don't get a rash of injuries. And then, of course, we all know their crossover SEC game is LSU. LSU is a top 10 team this year. Went to the conference championship game a year ago. Will be much deeper and better this year. So Vegas is basically saying, you know what? Another 6 and 6 regular season. Okay. And tell you what, just for the heck of it, we're going under. They host Tennessee. They'll be a dog. I mean, think about it. The Kentucky and South Carolina games are complete toss-ups. The Gators roster is not ready. And they have, let's just talk quarterbacks. South Carolina's got the stud transfer who they played last year. Think about how South Carolina ended last season. They ended last year by beating Tennessee and Clemson. South Carolina, by the way, kept both those teams out of the playoff. Tennessee beat South Carolina. They would have gone to the playoff. Clemson beat South Carolina. They would have gone to the playoff. 5.5. Only Vandy at 3.5 has a worse over-under. Georgia's is 11.5. It's real
and
simple.
It should be.
It's real. Yes,
with their non-conference schedule,
which is
Auburn's
embarrassing.
Down. That's their crossover game.
Yes, which is embarrassing. I'm actually of the belief if Georgia loses a game, I think strong consideration should be given for them not being in the playoff. They'll be favored in every game they play.
Schedule is UT Martin, Ball State, UAB, and at Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Georgia Tech's over-under is the second lowest in the ACC. So, you want a rivalry game and all that. Georgia Tech's over-under is 4, to give you an idea.
Just quickly, if you're a Georgia season ticket holder, tell me the game that you're really excited about.
Right.
UT Martin, Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, Kentucky. Oh, yeah, by the way, those games are all done by October 7th. Your only home games the rest of the way are Missouri and Ole Miss.
I think that's Kirby asking the SEC to do everything possible so I can get this Florida game on campus every other year. So Georgia's win total's 11.5. Basically, do you believe Georgia will lose in Knoxville, yes or no? That's what it comes down to. Will they go 11-1 or 12-0? The SEC championship game, if they get there, doesn't count. This is regular season. The conference title games do not count towards over-unders.
And they play Tennessee second to last game of the season for what it's worth.
I know, which is far later than they normally play.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's is 10.5. Now, Alabama gets the teams they lost to last year at home this year. They get Tennessee at home. They get LSU at home. They do go to A&M if you're expecting significant things out of A&M or not. They get Texas at home week 2. This is a tougher than usual Alabama schedule, but they get most of their really tough games at home.
At Auburn, at Kentucky, at A&M, at Mississippi State, and at USF.
Week 3. Want to see Alabama play week 3? They're in Tampa. I'm wondering how many Tide fans bought South Florida Bulls season tickets just to be able to go to the game. Tennessee and LSU's over-unders 9.5. And I think if you're thinking about betting LSU, don't you think the Florida State game is a key component to the over-under there? You think they're going to – that's a toss-up game. That's 1 to 2 points either way when I've seen this line over the last 4 months. LSU, Florida State, neutral. I think it's in Orlando, right? Labor Day weekend?
Correct.
Right. And to me, the over-under could very well be who wins that game. Quick sidebar. If Florida State loses to LSU and loses at Clemson, which I believe is in September, and then runs the table, including beating Clemson in a rematch in the ACC championship game, does your gut feeling say Florida State would get in the playoff at 11-2? Remember, this is the last year where only 4 teams get in.
My gut tells me that they would not, that would be the avenue for USC to slip past Florida State.
Because we've still yet to have a 2-loss team, correct?
Correct.
Think about who their losses would be to, though.
I've got you. I'm just saying that to me is the avenue for USC to get in.
Tennessee and LSU over-unders 9.5. And then there's a significant drop-off. Vegas and DraftKings and the like are basically saying, yeah, there's a big 4, and then there's everybody else. Ole Miss, Arkansas, A&M, 7.5. South Carolina, Kentucky, Missouri, Mississippi State, Auburn, 6.5.
Just quickly on the 7.5s there. If Jimbo doesn't go over, does he have a job?
That's a ton of money.
I understand that.
I mean, a ton of
lose
money.
5 games a year, 4 games a year, whatever it is.
That's really close. I think it would depend on who the losses are to. Like, I don't know A&M's crossovers. Like, I don't think they have Georgia.
They have Tennessee.
Okay.
They have South Carolina.
So they have Bama, LSU, Tennessee.
Miami.
On the road, right? Because
Yep.
they hosted them last year.
Arkansas on a neutral site game.
Gators over under of 5.5. How sobering is that to Gators fan? Listen, they can be wrong, but that's their way of saying this is where we think your program is this year. Okay? Up against the schedule you got to play. They're saying again, by the way, we think you're a 5th place team in the East. We're saying that Georgia and Tennessee are still light years ahead of you, and you're in the mix with Kentucky, with South Carolina. You know, you're better than Vandy, obviously, but I mean, that's, you know, Missouri. I mean, you're just one of those, I don't want to say also rans, but, you know.
Why? If the shoe fits.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if you finish 3rd in the SEC East, you could be a good team. But if you finish 5th or 6th, you could be an also ran. And right now, actually, they're saying you're a 5th, 6th place team in the East. That's why I think 2024 is go time for Billy Napier. I don't think this over-under is that far off. For the record, I'd bet the over. I think they will get to 6.
Not leaving a lot of wiggle room there, though.
No, I'm not. By the way, the ACC over-unders are out. The team with the highest over-under, Florida State. A half a game ahead of Clemson. Florida State at 10. I don't know if I could bet the over there.
With that schedule?
I mean, just the September schedule alone. You tell me they get through September with only 1 in the right-hand column, that's a different story. Florida State 10, Clemson 9.5. I'm going to tell you right now, what did I say this year? The Steelers, my over-under that I'm backing up the truck on, over 8.5. NC State 6.5, over. Backing up the truck on NC State, over 6.5. Miami's over-under. Care to guess?
7.5.
6.5.
Mark Miller, winner, chicken dinner. 7.5 for the Canes.
And the Canes have a legit schedule. I mean, they've got A&M on the schedule. They got to go to North Carolina, Florida State. They've got Clemson coming to them this year. They go to NC State.
So Gators over under 5.5. Canes over under 7.5. Florida State picked to be as good or better than Clemson. That's a little scary to me. If I'm a Knowles fan, come on now. I know you're excited, but don't you have to kind of sort of win one of those games before you pick to finish ahead of them, right?
Lot of hype.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hype for the Knowles.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out very, very early. That game in Orlando will tell us a lot about how the season's going to go.
I remember last year's game came down to a blocked extra point with no time on the clock. In the first 4 games of the season, Florida State plays LSU on a neutral field, although it is in Orlando, and they play at Clemson. I'm telling you, they could be a top 5-6 team in the country, have 2 losses heading into October. But they got a quarterback, got a lot of guys back. Won 10 games last year if you include the bowl. Beat LSU, Oklahoma, and Florida on paper. Looked really good. Of course, Oklahoma went 6-7. Florida went 6-7.
And their quarterback is one of the betting favorites to win the Heisman Trophy.
Uh-huh. So, just some numbers. Just to chew on. You know.
I don't know if the Gator fan can chew on that number if they just spit it out the window, David.
That's a
5.5 for the Florida Gators over under.
Right. Only one team lower. Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. So 5.5 for the Gators, 7.5 for the Canes. Miller and Moulton. A rather expert opinion with one that you may not like next.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Now, see, Adam, that's not how it works. You're a fan 24/7, 365, or you're not. Now is when you let people know. I mean, you're a Jags fan when they sucked for a decade. Why won't you put up with a couple of down years for the Gators?
So when the Canes are back, am I cleared? Am I valid? Since I had to drive to watch those games.
Are you still a fan? Do you
Absolutely.
Okay, so you put up with the grief and you haven't abandoned them.
It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. We're not a legit college team,
but remember, you abandoned the Heat after they lost Game 5 in a conference final.
I just didn't think we were going to win Game 6, and we won Game 6. I didn't think that we were going to beat the Bucks.
No. You abandoned them. You gave up on them.
They played awful in Miami.
Up on them.
You gave up on them.
Right. I gave up on the Miami.
Felipe, you are very much a fan of your generation. You have no heart.
Are you kidding me? I am allowed to be angry when my team underperforms, and that's how I was.
Angry and giving up are two complete different
I
things.
thought the season was over in Game 6. It was over in Game
But
7.
You basically, though, if you had a flag in your yard after Game 5, you would have gone outside, you would have taken the flag up, and you would have gone inside. That's what you did verbally after they lost that Game 5. You took your flag out of the ground. And that's all I'm saying is, I will say, you are an avid Canes fan. You travel across the alley for football and basketball games. I do think you are 24/7, 365 a Canes fan. I do. You had a moment of incredible weakness with the Heat, though. Incredible weakness. For whatever reason, that Game 5 broke you. It did. You snapped. You pulled the flag out of the ground and everything. And then you realized 2 days later how wrong you were. Jimmy Buckets told you, Felipe, you're an idiot. Don't give up on us. Ever.
Which they lost Game 7, but yes.
Doesn't matter. But
Right.
You just stay with us.
That was a
Always.
top 3 performance in Heat history, that Game 6. I mean,
but I will give you that. You are a Heat fan.
oh yes. Which we got 30 seconds, but there aren't a lot of towns or cities in the country.
How would you know?
No. Where the NBA team is the dominant team. I mean, is LA the only other one?
Well,
LA,
there's a few others. Phoenix,
Oklahoma City.
Right. But
there's a few. Salt Lake City, actually. There's probably a dozen cities where it's number one.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton, at least along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. We're just halfway home in the 239. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Boy, that was a tough segment. Text line, Twitch chat room, Gator fan. Whoo-wee. Adam saying I'm going to remove my Gator flag basically from the yard this year, or I'm not even going to put it out. Come on now. This is when they need you. And this is when you step out from most everyone else. So when you go, yeah, damn right I'm a fan. Yeah, I know. We're not there yet. Right. I got it. But you wait. We're coming. And I ain't going to let any of you jump on the bandwagon when we get there either. I'm taking names.
I'll tell you what. It's a hell of a concept, you taking names and all of that, but been down here a long time. This is as dark as I've seen it for the Gators. Since you and I have moved to Florida, this is as bad a position as the Florida Gators football team's been in.
Yeah, I think actually this is the worst stretch for the program since pre-Spurrier.
Right. So you and I have no real recollection of what pre-Spurrier Gator fan looks like.
No, I don't. I just know the jokes that were made at their expense in the late 70s and in the 80s. Right. But see, as DC says in our Twitch chat room, this is when, Gator fan, you cut them a bigger check. I'm with ya. I got your back.
Yeah.
Let's crush this NIL.
You have their back, but do you have a pen and a check? Because that's what they need. And it looks as if the new Gator whatever.
Right. Can't call it collective.
No.
That was
Victorious
terrible.
or whatever it is.
Right. Yes. Right. Mm-hmm.
That they have some things lined up that they're actually making some inroads.
Right.
For the 2024 class.
Correct, because the 2023, that sucker's lost. Although apparently, well, it's 23-24 for basketball. Men's basketball is having a pretty good recruiting transfer portal season.
And collectively, I will answer you from all of the Florida football fans. Who gives a damn?
That is true.
Because as great as the Canes basketball season was, trust me, they would all sacrifice it to have their football team where they want it to be.
So I'm just quick question. Do you think Gator fan will hang in there? If we were to say to them, listen, it's not going to be good in 23. In fact, I can't even guarantee you a bowl game.
Whew.
But you're gonna bounce back in 24. All right.
Well, their first question would be, and I think I can speak for the Gator fan here, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, David. What's bounce back mean?
Bounce back means that you are second place in the SEC East.
All right. Now you've got my attention. It's not where I want to be, but I can't get to first place, but at least getting to second place for a while.
Because that's where I think that's where Billy Napier has to get in 24. I think he's got to be basically the Tennessee game is determining who finishes second in the East. That's where I think he needs to be. Otherwise, I think, that'd be 3 years, but also the guy who hired him, I have a feeling Gator fan who's not real crazy about Strickland. I think Gator fan at the 2024 football season is not put it this way. I think the 2024 football season needs to be very close to what last year's Florida State season was. Remember, I saw last year coming. A lot of Knowles fans even mocked me. Remember, I thought Florida State, because they were 5-7 the year before, lost to Jacksonville State and didn't even qualify for a bowl. And I said, Norvell's doing it the right way. It was a much worse situation than you guys are willing to admit, but they're coming. I thought they'd win at least 8 games last year, maybe 9. They went 9-3, won their bowl game. That's where that's exactly the type of scenario that I think Florida needs to have. 5-7, 6-6 this year. Oh boy. And then you go, I'm telling you, they're breaking through in 24.
Gator fan, can you answer me a question right now? 21,000 is the text line, and just a yes or no will do. If you want to give explanations, we'll take those as well. You can always tweet at both of us, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, or simply 21,000. Is there a difference to you between 5-7 and 6-6? Is a bad bowl game, does that salvage what could be a really bad season? And I know I get it's a difference of one game. But to a lot of people, these bad bowls are meaningless. And to you, they were meaningless for 2.5 decades. It was beneath you to play in the Gasparilla Bowl or whatever the hell bowl they're going to put them in.
Right.
But right now, the difference between a losing season and a bowl game, how big of a deal is that? Or is it a big deal to you, Gator fan?
I'll ask you.
Not just playing a bowl game, but get embarrassed in a bowl game. They lose by like 30 to Oregon State?
Well, in fairness, though, if they could have, they would have stayed home. They had like 50 scholarship players, and we all knew that was coming. I mean, that was the one bowl game in which we said back up the truck on Oregon State. And the line was like 10. And we're like, they are going to humiliate the Gators. And they did.
But they had all of their players, and Florida had half of theirs, basically.
Exactly. And it was a big deal to Oregon State, and Florida literally didn't want to be there. But let me ask you this. Could 5-7 or 6-6 be the difference between people being fired? Like, do you think the impatience, and maybe it's just with the AD, all right? will that be significant? Or will Gator fan, if they go 6-6, they're like, oh, man, I hate this. But 5-7, that's, everybody's going to a bowl. Not you guys. You're not even good enough for that. Wait a minute. Year 2 under Napier was worse than year 1, which, quite frankly, I think we could all see coming. I really think you can, but this the college sports fan, they don't deal in reality very often. I'm wondering, Mark, does the AD lose his job if they don't go to a bowl this year? Because I don't think Napier will. I think most people following the football program will realize he's got to get a third year with his plan and what he's doing, and we screwed up NIL on him, the whole deal.
And would that scenario, losing the AD, be something that the Florida fan thinks is a good thing?
Exactly.
It's a bad time when you're starting to root for firings, though.
Adam says it feels like we're back in between the Muschamp and McElwain eras. I could actually argue I think you're worse off. Because I actually thought the roster was better in the 2014, 15-ish days than I think it is now. Could be me. I mean, think about it. They went 6-6. Their quarterback just got taken 4th overall.
Yeah, that shows you what they think of him versus what they think of that roster.
And everything also associated with the program. Fairly or unfairly. I mean, they could be totally wrong. And the Gators were actually right. And besides, part of that was on him. I mean, he couldn't beat out a couple of quarterbacks that he probably should have beaten out sooner. And then when he finally did get playing time, he didn't stay healthy. Miller and Moulton. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Peter King, on his way to vacation, Mark, did a
What's
final...
that? What's that?
I'm told it's something that people are allowed to take during the spring and summer months. It's time off in which you are paid while recharging your batteries.
Let's put that into practice.
I'm told it's a thing.
Let's put that into practice.
Well, working on it. So he went on vacation. He's taking like 8 to 10 weeks off. He's going to have people filling in, writing his Monday Morning in America column. But before he went on vacation, he said, here's how I see the league after the draft and free agency. And he did one of those power polls. Now, listen, we all have an opinion. And we all don't know what we're talking about. He, Mark, agrees with us. The team that is on the clock is the Arizona Cardinals. Did you see the team that he thinks will seriously challenge Arizona for the number 1 pick in the draft?
I did, David. I did.
Hint, it's one of the 3 teams in Florida.
Another hint, for a change, it's not Jacksonville.
Considering Miami and Jacksonville both made the playoffs last year, and actually the 3rd team did too, albeit with a losing record. That's right. Peter King says the 2nd worst team in the league is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you agree?
No. I actually think it's Houston.
Okay. How about this? How close to the bottom are they?
They're pretty close. Somebody from that division will be picking in the first 4 or 5 picks.
And Peter King says that team will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hey, You had a parade. I don't want to hear it. You had a parade. Went to the playoffs 3 years in a row. Suck it up and deal.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Miami Herald won a Pulitzer yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. For editorial writing. Failure of Florida public officials to deliver on many taxpayer-funded services and amenities promised to residents over decades. What? Politicians not living up to their word?
You know, I was driving all over Lehigh over the weekend showing houses, and all I could think of was Billy Corbin talking about seeing planes there when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's talk the Christmas night game, which I'm guessing we'll do, is going to be in Philadelphia.
I really want to get to this. I mean, we're not on the show. I'm fascinated by this whole Tiger and the girlfriend NDA and her suing him for $30 million and how this one's going to turn out.
Do you think Tiger fans care?
No. No, they'll all take his side.
We can get rid of that, can't we?
Why?
You just proved why.
No, I thought I didn't have enough time. I got back in time. Now we're coming back. Jeez.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Heat joined the Panthers, being a win away from the conference finals, beating the Knicks last night 109-101. Lakers also a win away from the conference finals, coming from behind in the fourth quarter to beat Golden State by 3. That was a push, by the way. Spread on that game was 3. Heat covered. They were 4.5-point favorites. Boston, a 7.5-point favorite tonight at home against Philly. That seems like a big number. Celtics 7-8 in their last 15 home playoff games going back to last season. Denver, 5.5-point favorite tonight at home against Phoenix. I love the Nuggets tonight, for whatever that's worth. How much interest anybody has in that. A couple of NHL playoff games as well. A couple of game 4s in New Jersey and Seattle. You mentioned something during the break. You spend a lot of time out and around golf courses and talking to people. You're a member of a country club and what have you. Is anybody talking about Tiger?
No. Not at all. He's not playing golf.
Okay. I just didn't know. He's embroiled in some lawsuits here with his former girlfriend, and just didn't know if any of the alleged details, if that came up at all.
I'm fascinated by it just because of the whole, she worked for him. When did the NDA come into place? Was she still working for him, or did she quit working and was dating him? I just think there's some interesting things that could come out in court here.
Well, yeah, it's if it gets to court. I mean, obviously, Tiger. First off, Tiger is claiming, listen, this doesn't go to court. She signed a non-disclosure agreement, and in it, by the way, any disputes get resolved, in arbitration and what have you. So, there's no need for us to be tying up the courts. I do keep going back to the whole how it is they broke up. And does that reveal anything about you or not? In which, and apparently it has not been refuted either.
No, that he took her to the airport for a trip.
Well, and that actually she was meeting him there. Okay. And his lawyer. Right. So I guess he dropped her off. Okay. And said, I'm going to park the car and what have you. And then when she walked into the terminal, his lawyer walked up to her and said, by the way, you guys are done. And we're getting your things and we will send them to you. And Tiger just turned around and went home. Now, has anybody ever heard of a breakup story like that? I mean, Tiger did not break up with her. His lawyer ended the relationship.
Correct.
I mean, I know they were not married. I guess that would be the equivalent of one of the spouses getting served or getting the letter in the mail in which you go, holy blank, he wants a divorce. And he slept at the house last night and you just kissed him on the cheek as he went to work an hour ago. I mean, is that comparable? But
breaking up by lawyer. Yeah. I mean, it is.
It is an all-timer, isn't it?
Scale, it's way up there.
Yeah. I mean, you get the whole thing about over the phone and texting and, how do you end a relationship? And it's uncomfortable. It is.
But be a man.
By the way, apparently he's a pretty good actor, right? I mean, he drove her. I mean, boy, that must have been some awkward
He's a
conversation.
cold SOB is what he is.
Yeah. Now, I understand, it's apparently very different when you're very famous to have a relationship. I could understand where it's really scary. You don't know if they actually like you or they're in it for your money. And yeah, okay, I get it.
Oh, he should have got word when she was managing his restaurant.
She apparently, by the way, continued to manage the restaurant till 2020. So
she's going to get a really big check.
You think so?
She's going to get a big check. They're on the verge. They were together long enough for it to be common law.
Well, in certain states, I don't know if in Florida. In California, I definitely money would. I'm betting on her in California. I don't know about Florida. But it's an interesting claim that she has also. So she's asking for, I think it's 50 million.
Thought it was 30, but
okay. It's a lot of money, I think, although not to Tiger, who's a billionaire. So apparently she's claiming that when he asked her to move in with him, that they worked out an agreement where he promised her housing for, wait for it, 11 years. Not 10, 11. And I'm wondering if that has something to do with when one of the kids, Charlie, then is old enough to leave for college, honestly, because 11's an interesting number to just pick out of the air. He promised me housing for 11 years. Huh. Okay. And so since he kicked her out, her argument is, well, I kind of got used to suitable housing in order for me to have housing like this for however many more additional years, 5, 6, 8, however long, I need 30 million. Now, I got to admit, I think Tiger's an SOB. Okay. I actually think most everything she's claiming, I Just my gut feeling is I agree with her. But the whole comparable housing thing, come on now. Come on now. How many people have comparable housing to Tiger Woods? You don't need comparable housing to Tiger Woods. Come on now.
I'm sorry. I'm back in the Eddie Murphy phase in my head going, I don't see a ring on your finger.
Now, if I was sitting in the jury box and they're going, wait a minute, did they just say he broke up with her by lawyer? I'd start to be on her side. And then when she's making the claim, I want this much money and here's why. I'm like, well, yeah, we'd all like to live like that, but I mean, we got to move on. It's part of the perks of being with him, right? Accommodations are pretty good.
Man, she's going to have to fly coach. I mean, she's been flying private forever. I don't even know if she can afford first class now. You know what a downgrade this is? She may have to take a Southwest flight.
So I just didn't know if anybody,
No, all anybody ever cares about is this Tiger going to play. No one cares about this from a golf standpoint. No golf fans. They're all on Tiger's side.
He is Teflon, isn't he? I mean, because there's a lot of evidence out there that he's not the greatest guy in the world. Isn't that fair? Would that be a fair conclusion? And I mean, heck, even women like him. Don't you want
for the most part? All of them do. That
your mother-in-law loves him, right?
Correct.
Don't you want to? Next time you're with your mother-in-law, can you humor me? Can you look at her and say, if I broke up with your daughter by dropping her off at an airport and I had my attorney tell her the relationship was over, what would you think of me?
How far can you hit a driver? And do you have a shot at Augusta this year? Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Not necessarily, Jiff. I mean, I've flown on airports over there. You don't drive right up to the plane on that coast. Depends on the airport. Depends on the airport. Empire, he's a pile. He broke up with her through a lawyer. He's a coward. And I get it. Everybody's got Tiger's side because we all love Tiger. He's the best. Go Tiger.
All this Tiger talk makes me want to rewatch the HBO documentary, which is really good, by the way, if any of you haven't watched it yet, which I'm sure most of you have.
And Empire, I'd be with you if it was his girlfriend for 3 months. He was with her for 5 years. He locked her out of the house.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. During the show, news that Joe Kapp passed away, 85 years old, quarterbacked the Vikings to their first Super Bowl appearance, Super Bowl IV, the loss to the Chiefs. Mark, obviously from a different era. He played not only in the Rose Bowl, where he was the starting quarterback for Cal, he played on a college basketball national championship team at Cal. That's when they actually allowed you to still do that. You know, you were more than a one sport athlete back then. I think technically he's the only quarterback to win a Rose Bowl, a Grey Cup, and a Super Bowl. So Joe Cap was 85.
Couple of emails coming in on our conversation on El Tigre, mostly pointing out that there is no common law in Florida. I merely just said common law because of the time. Thank you for that clarification. But no one really defending her. A lot of people in the Twitch chat room think that Tiger is completely in the right here.
I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
One just questions, do you think Tiger has PTSD and didn't want to get hit with another golf club? It was the safe way to end it, wasn't it?
Wow. Too soon or no?
No.
It was November of 2009, so.
A lot of wedges around that house, I will say that. I would imagine there is a bunch of wedges.
I'm guessing he's a tinkerer. All right, that's my guess. You know, plus, you know, he's got the course right there, and, you know, yeah, I'm with you.
Now you got Charlie's clubs laying around.
Sure. But it's funny, you know, Tiger's proven himself to be such a stand-up guy when it comes to women. And so here we are, however many years later, and people taking the side of Tiger in a dispute with a woman. I mean, you could see why. I mean, just look at the track record.
What's the special at Denny's this morning? Can I get an eggs over my hammy, please?
I have to admit, I always thought that was underrated.
Denny's or the eggs over my hammy?
Eggs over my hammy. Personally. But
I make eggs over hammy all the time.
There you go.
That was like my go-to college breakfast. I got to whip something up really quick.
I was going to say, you're only a year removed. I think you're still making go-to college breakfast.
Yeah.
Yes. You make them till you're damn near 25, I think.
Yeah. Eggs need to chill on the price, but yes.
A few things need to chill on the price. Hey, back to the Peter King list for a second.
Okay.
So he lists Tampa Bay as the second worst team in the league. You know, make your comments accordingly. Miami at 8. Miami at 8 and the 5th best team in the AFC. Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Ravens, and then Dolphins. A spot ahead of the Jets. 6 of the top 9 AFC. Lists Jacksonville as the 7th best AFC team. Oh, by the way, 13th overall. How about this? Are you ready to go there?
He has 6 NFC teams better than Jacksonville.
Yes. 10 through 12, he lists 3 NFC teams. This is where I think he's a little off base, especially since he lists the Giants ahead of the Jags, which I think is completely and utterly wrong. I mean, when are people going to acknowledge, yeah, the Giants have improved from last year, but they overachieved last year. That was not a roster that was 9-7-1. That was a 7-10 roster at best. There's a reason he won Coach of the Year. Take a look at their records in close games. That very rarely happens in back-to-back years. And they're going to play a tougher schedule this year. Much tougher. I think it's going to be very hard-pressed for teams in the NFC East. Washington and the Giants in particular, the bottom half teams in that league or division, to duplicate the records they had last year. Never mind improve on them. That's just me. But Mark, he cannonballed into the deep end. He went there. And by that, I mean...
the Detroit Lions, don't you?
6th.
It's just hard for me to hear those words and not laugh.
third best team in the NFC, behind just the two teams who played. I mean, think about who he has ahead of Detroit. The four teams who played in the conference championship games last year and Buffalo. Now, let's just take a step back. Is he right? I mean, is it time for us? Come on now. The Bengals have just gone back-to-back conference championship games. You can be a lousy franchise for a really long period of time. And guess what? At some point, you can become good.
The quick difference, the Bengals were not picked to be the sixth best team in the league. They emerged out of nowhere. Joe Burrow and company came out of nowhere and had this great playoff run leading into a Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden we took the Bengals a little more seriously last year. They still weren't thought of that seriously going into last year, David.
No, they were not thought of as a top 3-4 team in the league, that it was a bit of a magic carpet ride.
They were 6-10 a year ago where it was prove it. Now they're put in the upper echelon. I think the problem that I have with it is that there's got to be a prove it factor. They've got to do something. Just winning 9 games and not getting into the playoffs doesn't prove anything to a lot of folks.
I mean, they won the same number of games as the Giants, whom they destroyed, by the way, when they played them. They won the same number of games as Seattle, who they lost to, and that's why Seattle won the tiebreaker. They won the same number of games as the Dolphins. They won the same number of games as the Steelers. I mean, quite frankly, Mark, they won the same number of games that the Eagles won in 2021 when they snuck in as the 7 seed, were whacked in a first-round game by Tampa Bay.
And I think if they would have snuck into the playoffs and at least had that experience, that exposure in the postseason, it would be easier to buy the Lions on the come for this year. Because to me, they're somewhere between 10 and 12. Get into the playoffs. Just, hell, win a game in the playoffs. That would be miraculous.
It'd be only the second time since the Eisenhower administration.
Right.
So that, and I don't want to say technicality, but just that fine line, if you know what I mean. I mean, Detroit's 9-8 was just on the outside of Seattle's 9-8. They kicked the tar out of the 9-7-1 Giants, by the way, on the Giants' home field. I mean, they finished the season what? Winning 7 of 9, 8 of 10. I mean, weren't they 1-6 at one point? Finished 9-8. I mean, that's 8 out of 10, right? And one of those losses was Josh Allen on Thanksgiving Day, barely late, being, an MVP-like quarterback on that day. So that fine line, if they had done what Seattle did, if they had been the 7 seed, gone to San Francisco and got whacked by 3 scores, you'd be willing to buy the Lions this year?
David, I don't know if I'd ever. I am sorry. I literally just got a text. Someone I've known a long time. Would you please tell David to stop it with the Lions hoopla? You and I know better. And this is a lifetime that's been built into me of a team that can underachieve in ways that no other team can underachieve or disappoint. I'm rooting for them. I hope that Peter King is right and that they can win the NFC North. But I don't know what would surprise me more, Tampa Bay winning the South or Detroit winning the North.
Wow.
Because that's the type of team that they are.
They've been. That's the type of team and organization they've been. Don't you think teams and organizations can change? And I think you do have to look at Cincinnati. It was 2 years ago Didn't the Bengals have the longest drought in terms of winning a postseason game? Wasn't it 1 year longer than Detroit? That Detroit won a game in the 91 season in the playoffs, but the Bengals postseason drought had gone all the way back to 1990.
What does Cincinnati have?
They have a Joe Burrow.
They have a Joe Burrow, David.
But you need a Joe Burrow in the AFC. You don't need an elite quarterback in the NFC.
It's a Jared Goff.
Who took a team to a Super Bowl.
Oh, that is rich out of you of all people defending Jared Goff right now. If I could jump through the screen, I might slap you about the head.
Well, it's a big head, so I'm pretty sure you wouldn't miss. It's just, yeah, I mean, you could be 50% off target and still catch a big chunk of forehead or the side of it. I'll tell you that.
I mean, I'm not going all Ross Chastain on you because I'm not that angry. But
well, I'm not going to get that close in order for you to do that. For the record, I can take a punch. Like I tell people, I'm much tougher than I look.
You got a Denny Vial head. I think you'd be tough to cut.
Yeah, I got a little Wepner in me. Okay, a little Bayonne bleeder in me, no doubt. So I'm not talking about can people change. I'm not getting into the whole, if you think somebody's a blankety blank, you write them off as a blankety blank for the rest of their lives, even though people can change. I understand, Mark, there's scar tissue. I get it. I'm familiar with the record. 1 playoff win since the second term of the Eisenhower administration. I got it.
That.
No. That's why I keep saying it. 65 years. They've won 1 playoff game. 65 years. It's ridiculous. It is. It's absurd. It's embarrassing. They went 0-16, for goodness sakes. It's humiliating. They're a joke. They're a punchline. Only maybe now they're not. And come on, think about it. The division's falling apart around them, too. They seemingly have their act together when the division is a bit of a mess.
And Minnesota, you mentioned the Giants winning all those close games. Come on. The Vikings won every game by 3 or 4 points.
Yeah, exactly. They won like 8 or 9 games by 4 points or less last year, and in amongst their 13 wins. Nobody thinks that they're going to duplicate the same season this year.
They had a point differential of about even and finished 13-4 for crying out loud.
The Bears certainly seem to be at least a year away. All right. The Packers are in transition. I mean, come on. Do you think they'll win as many games as they won last year? And they won 8 last year. And you went into Green Bay and beat them, for goodness sakes. Green Bay. You won in Green Bay in January, for goodness sakes.
But see, Cincinnati snuck up on teams. See, Detroit now they're putting a target on a team that has no business having a target on them.
They won 8 out of 10. When's the last time the Lions won 8 out of 10? Probably 1991.
I want to buy it, but I don't know if I can reach in my pocket for the money, if you know what I mean.
Are you going to bet them to win the division? Will you bet them to win the division, yes or no? Are you that? And you're not even a fan. You just grew up in the area. Are you that scarred you won't even pick them to win the North?
Probably.
And you're making it seem as like this is a really big step for you.
I'll probably pick the Vikings.
Seriously?
Probably.
Now, are you doing that to be superstitious? Because then this way you figure it.
Because what if they got to prove something? They proved they can have a winning record once. Great. Terrific. Fantastic. Good job.
Okay. All right. Well, just so you know, Peter King's cannonballed into the deep end.
Louis Riddick did too during the draft.
6th best team in the league.
Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice, Lake City. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. The bonus hour in the 239 is next.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, Canada Relief. It definitely looks like the Commanders tampered with Andrew Luck.
I might pick the Packers to win the division.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You know, we probably should have brought this up during the main 3 hours of the show along the network, so to speak. Have you been following this Messi situation? And I don't mean Messi, Messy.
A little bit, you know, that PSG wants him off the team and the teams that are courting him and they're going to part ways. And he was in Saudi Arabia and missed training. Yeah.
Well, he's done with PSG.
Okay.
All right. He's going to Saudi Arabia. 522 million pounds, I guess. And Ronaldo is also in that Saudi league, playing apparently for the arch rival of the team that Messi is going to play for. Is the same grief that's come to Phil and a couple dozen golfers going to go Ronaldo and Messi's way too?
It hasn't for Ronaldo.
Well, why not? Help me out here. What am I missing?
Well, isn't it kind of like Tiger, where just the popularity kind of overshadows everything?
Well, listen, there was only one golfer more popular than Phil. One golfer, active, that was more popular than Phil. I mean, you know, I understand Messi and Ronaldo were. Is it fair to say, Felipe, were they 1 and 2 still, even though there are younger stars out there? If we did just popularity, okay, aren't we talking 1 and 2 here in soccer?
Oh, no doubt.
Okay.
Ronaldo being one, by the way. Ronaldo is the most followed human on earth.
Okay.
In social media.
So fine. They're 1 and 2, whatever. Player, popularity, whatever. They're both now playing in Saudi Arabia. This is the most popular sport in the world. I mean, this makes golf look like less than a niche sport. I mean, this is the world sport right here.
Right. But I don't know if the live golfers are getting bashed anywhere but here.
Oh, in Europe, they're getting, I mean, please, there can't be Ryder Cuppers anymore. They took captaincies away and you can't play on the European tour. I mean, no, they suck. They suck, Mark. They suck. They're bad human beings. They cannot do what they used to do anymore. No.
Yeah.
And
there were PSG fans lined up outside of their stadium chanting "Hijo de blank," which is son of a blank.
About Messi?
About Messi. Messi,
Okay.
hijo de blank.
Okay, is that because he's leaving them or because he's going to Saudi Arabia?
I think both.
I think because he's leaving them.
Well, I think they criticize him as well for that, like they would for Ronaldo and the Live Tour golfers.
Now, it's my understanding, and you know, I don't follow this, so this is dangerous for me. But don't we already have Saudi ownership of certain teams in the Premier League?
Yes.
Yes.
By the way, I do find it hysterical, and I mean hysterical. Like 4 of the live golfers resigned from the DP World Tour last week. Sergio and 3 other legendary Euros in terms of Ryder Cup play, Poulter and a couple of others. They just said, this is ridiculous. I guess we can't be a part of this tour anymore. Do you know where the Tour Championship is on the DP World Tour?
Saudi Arabia.
It's the race to Dubai. Correct. That's what they call it all year.
Dubai. Okay. Yeah.
Right. But I'm just wondering, I mean, most everyone listening follows soccer more than I do. I'm just curious. First Ronaldo and now Messi. And is this an issue in the sport at all? I mean, is this going to taint their legacies? Is the rest of the sport not going to have literally virtually nothing to do with them anymore? Are Portugal and Argentina saying you cannot represent us in international play anymore? Because that's what's happened in golf. I mean, I don't know. I'm not
PGA
sensing
Tour, and I know, David, the PGA Tour runs the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup. I know they don't per se exactly run both of them. I get it. We've gone through this 6 million times, so no one needs to text the show. But if anybody doesn't think the PGA Tour is running the Ryder Cup, they're crazy. I know PGA of America essentially runs it. The two are tied at the hip, or joined at the hip, rather.
In fact, the guy who runs PGA of America is like best friends with the PGA Tour commissioner. And you see how tied the whole golf world is because the USGA literally changed the wording of one of their rules just to keep one LIV golfer out of the US Open, Taylor Gooch. Now you couldn't just be qualified for the Tour Championship. You had to have been eligible for the Tour Championship as well. And since he left the PGA Tour before the Tour Championship, he was not eligible for it. Therefore, the USGA is now, after the fact, it's very much what the Baseball Hall of Fame did to Pete Rose. When Rose signed his quote-unquote life away, all right, he was still very much eligible for the Hall of Fame. And then about 6 months before they were going to vote on his candidacy, they said, holy blank, we got to change the rules. But I'm just curious here. Are the legacies of Ronaldo and Messi now, are they going to suffer even remotely the way Phil Mickelson has?
No.
And you could say, well, suffer, he made $200 million. But in terms of his image, his legacy, he's toe jam now.
No, they won't suffer it at all compared to what Mickelson suffered.
Am I missing something? Is this not an apples to apples comparison, or is this apples to oranges, apples to cantaloupe? Because to me, they seem in the same area code at the very least. At the very least, Mark, this seems as if bringing one up and bringing the other up is not out of line.
I think it's the fact that it's the American media and Phil. And I know the European media do, but this is driven by the American media. The American media doesn't largely care where Ronaldo and Messi play. And they certainly don't care in South and Central America where the best players play. Apparently, Portugal may not either. We have a problem with the league here because it's not just Mickelson. It's every one of them. I was watching golf last weekend with my buddies on the other coast, and I just asked them, have you watched any live? Because they happen to have Xfinity. I don't. I can't even, if I wanted to watch live golf, I have to put up an HD antenna to watch the local CW channel. So I've not watched any live golf, even if I wanted to. I asked him, you watch any live? He goes, no, I won't support that tour. Okay.
I'd love for you to then ask the same people, hey, curious, you guys Ronaldo or Messi fans? You still supporting them? I mean, they're joining a Saudi soccer league. I mean, what's the difference?
The difference is the ties with the Saudis and 9/11 in this country, David. We have a problem with it. As United States citizens, we have a problem with it. The rest of the world does not have the same problem that we have with it.
Well, they do in Europe towards the golfers.
By the way, they are offering to pay Lionel Messi $400 million per year.
I just saw 522 million pounds and didn't know what the translation is, but
Is money not important anymore? Like,
I thought that was like the lifetime of the deal. I didn't realize that was annually. Blank. And Mark, maybe you've hit it completely on the head there. I get it. No, I do. I'm an American. I was alive that day. Lost a friend. Kind of close to where I grew up. I really do get it. But, I mean, no offense. These two guys are a hell of a lot more popular than Phil Mickelson worldwide.
Right. And worldwide, they don't care as much about what the United States thinks. And this whole live thing has been driven by the American media.
Yeah. I will say the European media is on board too. And that's
the UK
why
media is more than the European media.
And that's why I'm a little surprised that I don't know. I'm not sensing as much of a backlash as I thought. Apparently there's one media outlet today that's just trashing Messi, an international media outlet. That's but apparently when Messi went to visit the Saudi team, I guess PSG there, they just said, well, then we're done with you. Huh, okay. But that's all. I was curious. I know we have a lot of soccer fans that listen, even though you follow it a smidge. I follow it virtually not at all.
By the way, he's 35. He could play a year or two there and come to the United States.
Well, that was the thought. He might be coming to Miami. But
right.
Obviously, Miami's not going to make the transfer money.
No.
That was the 422 million transfer pounds as well on top, because they're paying PSG as well.
Right. Yeah, the thought was Messi was going to come a generation later and do what Beckham did and play for Beckham's team also. Which, by the way, as soccer players, they're pretty close to similar age as to where Phil is in his career, right? Wouldn't you consider 35, 36 for a soccer player, about 52 for a golfer? Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh. Baby Jules, you think Live Golf is far more entertaining than the PGA Golf Tour? Is it because they have better players? Is it how they present it? What has you hooked? Just curious. Gonna need to watch something over the summer that's not baseball. Can't wait for Wimbledon. Logic Man, I saw that.
Yeah, Logic Man, I'm with you. Pop strokes. Now, pop stroke for like a league would be kind of fun because it's real golf. I mean, real putting, if almost. But it's really overpriced, I think.
Pop stroke?
Yeah.
Just because it's like when it's packed, it's like you're paying this to be in a playground essentially.
I'd rather go to Congo River. I know it doesn't have the beer. It's basically it's putt place without. They have beer. Great.
Right. Cool. And big TVs. I don't know. Yeah, it takes a long time. There's an apartment complex right next to it too, and I know a lot of people just walk over there, which is great. I mean, if you live there. By the way, you saw that they're building an apartment complex in Gulf Coast Town Center?
Is that what's going in the middle?
I think that's what that is. Yes, that construction in between.
Yeah, right by the McDonald's there. What you're saying?
Yeah,
like we turn in that.
Across
That's where I always turn in at.
It's gonna be an apartment complex. That's gonna be hell.
An apartment complex, pretty small.
Not really.
Where do you get that from?
So, I know people that work at Miller's Ale House. I heard that from people that work at Miller's Ale House, which is also in Gulf Coast Town Center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Wait, is the complex to the side of the McDonald's or like behind it?
Behind it, if you will.
So the parking lot leading up to the Dick's Sporting Goods, and
Right.
yeah, in between Target and Dick's Sporting Goods, essentially. Super Target.
Luxury condos. That would make a lot more sense.
Right. That's still crazy. That's insane. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Our final thoughts. Some picks on the games. No Heat or Panthers tonight. Panthers get an extra day off. So do the Leafs. So they'll both play Wednesday night, each a win away from their respective conference finals. We have NBA, NHL tonight. We just don't have either of the South Florida teams playing tonight. Some key games in the NBA, too. Game 5s with 2 series tied at 2. You know, you give the whole stat, winner of Game 5 and a series tied at 2, wins the series like 81% of the time, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I probably should have discussed this with you, but I was hoping for a really brutally honest answer. People have been making a big deal in the last few days about a comment that Jim Harbaugh made. Did you see it?
I did not.
Very controversial. Quote, mowing the lawn is one of the great feelings I have in life. Unquote. Recommends that people should still mow their lawns. Feeling of accomplishment, sense of accomplishment, like being outdoors, working up a sweat. Repeat, mowing the lawn is one of the great feelings I have in life. Unquote. And obviously, he is doing well enough where he can pay someone to do his lawn.
I have not mowed my own lawn in a long time, David. Nor have I mowed anybody else's lawn in a long time.
But it does beg the question for all of us. What is one of the mundane, daily chore, just things you do in life that you absolutely love, and most everybody else would look at you like, are you nuts? Really?
See, I think my wife's that way with laundry. I have no desire to do the laundry, but I've offered because she works more hours than I do. So I have offered to take that away to try to help.
Right.
And she is, without any circumstances, have told me, stay away. Don't touch anything in the hamper. You'll screw it up.
Let me ask you this, though. You need, once again, I've already given you the question for you to ask your mother-in-law. All right, next time you see her. Now, if you could, for me, basic R&D, you know I'll do it for you too. All right, is this something that she gets a, quote, great feeling in life for, or is it something that she does because she just doesn't trust you? This apparently is something that Jim Harbaugh, it provides him one of the great feelings I have in life. This isn't as opposed to paying my 12-year-old neighbor from across the street.
I do get a sensation from shuffling around things in the dishwasher just to make everything fit, just so you can have that one full load.
Once again, David, what was the quote?
Well, great feelings I have in life.
Well, you asked for mundane.
No.
Felipe, you answered the question perfectly, exactly correctly. I just, again, after you answered that, wanted to see if the mundane thing in life is
a great feeling I have in life. And you said loading the dishwasher properly.
It's satisfying.
No, hold on. No. It doesn't satisfy you. It gives you a sensation. Okay, that's what you said. It gives you a sensation. That qualifies. I think a sensation, a synonym is great feelings I have in life.
Okay, then a sensation would be
No, you answered it.
shooting a rolled up paper towel ball from like 15 feet into a trash can. Switching it.
I like to mow the grass. Like I had no problem cutting the grass.
But it didn't give you a great feeling in life, did you?
Great feeling of accomplishment when it's done. A nice lawn when you're done getting everything done and the smell of cut grass.
So in other words, you stood there, shirt on or off, sweating profusely because you run hot, okay? And you stood there on your front porch or back lanai or near the end of your driveway, okay? And you stood there proudly, chest out, hands
Probably
on your
one
hip,
hand on a hip like a model.
looking at everyone going, damn right.
That's my
damn right.
There. Look at those lines.
So can you relate?
Yes, I can.
The more you think about it, you and Jim Harbaugh, but remember, he's now in his mid-50s, okay? He's making a fortune. Right.
I'm not.
But you, though, made the decision to stop providing yourself with a great feeling in life, and you let others do it.
Or I moved into a neighborhood where they did it for me. But I get your point. The joy was taken away from me on this last move because there was a time I was mowing my own lawn.
By the way, part of the fact that Jim Harbaugh can afford for people to do it for him is also the fact that he can afford to buy the biggest and baddest lawnmower. Like he probably has a souped up lawnmower. Which
I bet you he walks behind it.
Yeah,
I bet he's not riding it.
You don't think he has a drive?
No. I'd be more surprised if he had a stand-on ride-along than I would be if he had an old-school manual push mower.
Now, this is important to know. Now I really want to know what kind of equipment is he dealing with here?
Didn't Larry Bird used to mow his own lawn too?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in French
all the neighbors
anyway.
would be like, and in Boston, they'd be like, there's Larry Bird.
He took care of like an entire farm.
No, don't laugh. I believe isn't that how he injured his back?
Yes.
Didn't he injure his back taking care of the farm one summer in French Lick?
I think that's accurate. Also, I love that old commercial where Magic pulls up in the limo to his farm and they just hoop one-on-one right there. That's incredible.
Sturgill Simpson has an album called Cutting Grass. I can just see Harbaugh throwing on a little Sturgill Simpson cutting grass while he's cutting the grass.
Question, shirt on, shirt off?
Harbaugh, shirt off.
Oh, no, there's no doubt.
Khakis
no
on.
doubt.
Sweating through the khakis.
Yes.
Shirt
Khaki
off.
pants, no shirt.
Yes. And the Michigan hat, of course. Sunglasses, croquis.
So I'm just curious, what is it out there that is a, I don't know, chore,
Honey, what did you do with the edger?
mundane thing in life that gives you, quote, one of the great feelings I have in life? For Jim Harbaugh, it is mowing the lawn. What is it for you? For Felipe, it's apparently loading the dishwasher properly.
For me, it's cooking.
Okay.
Very therapeutic. I love it. Whether I'm grilling, whether I'm cooking inside, preparing meals for people, I enjoy that.
Okay. Fair enough.
I really like making breakfast. So if I were to go cooking, making a big.
Well, no,
breakfast.
you already went, but he
just
you
keeps
went.
answering. How long have you been around here,
But
David?
cleaning the dishes is what you do after. So the whole experience, really, I think. You make the breakfast and then you clean the dishes.
Remember, Mark, it's a sensation. It gives him a sensation.
Listen, if I've learned any lesson on Miller and Moulton, it's that any way to satisfy someone is with food. And I like cooking breakfast and then doing the dishes for them.
Hope you'd have learned a little more than that, but
That's okay. We're starting at the basics.
Small victories.
That's right. So there you go. I just, by the way, Ramsey in our Twitch chat room putting out the recycling bin. Apparently, that's one of his great feelings in life, taking it to the edge of the driveway.
Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when, and what's on tap? That's what lies ahead right here. One of the great joys, the Florida Sports Network.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So what do you think the odds of a golf tournament are?
50-50.
Are you still thinking that June 24th?
I thought we were thinking June 10th, but I think we got to try to push it back to June 24th.
Because the 24th is a problem for me. It's a family vacation, but I'm in Orlando. But
I don't think we can do one personally.
I don't think we can either.
Unless we wanted to do something in August.
Well, I think we should do something in August. Who works with Gentry? Logic Man.
No, I don't. In the GBE, what is the GBE? No, I've got a student punching a cop. I got kids doing gummies.
My God, I keep seeing the clip of that guy on the Tigers getting hit in the crotch. Jeez. By the way, the most amazing thing is it bounced off of his crotch. The Guardian second baseman caught it and tagged him out. I just saw the clip now of Randall talking. He doesn't even look like he wants to go back to New York and play a game. I don't know. Maybe they want him more. I don't know. Jeez. Heat out here just demoralizing teams. Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Pat Kerwin joins us tomorrow at around 7:30. Seth Everett joins us tomorrow at around 8:30. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 16 minutes till we're out of here. Mark, take it away.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1865. Today is the date commonly accepted as the end date of the Civil War. Today in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson proclaims Mother's Day. So now cards, flowers, and brunch are necessary.
I'm guessing it didn't start that way.
It's become that way.
I'm guessing Hallmark got involved.
They always do. 1926, the first flight over the North Pole, which the discovery of Richard Byrd's diary suggests they may have turned back 150 miles short of the pole due to an oil leak. So we'll never know. 58, the Hitchcock movie Vertigo is released. Today in 1961, FCC Chairman Newton Minow criticizes TV as a vast wasteland during a speech before the National Association of Broadcasters.
Boy, it's funny how history repeats itself because social media.
Today in 84, the White Sox beat the Brewers 7-6 in 25 innings. The game started on the 8th. 1987, Eddie Murray is the first to hit switch hit home runs in 2 consecutive games. This for our former producer, David. Today in 92, the final episode of Golden Girls airs on NBC TV.
Have to let them know.
This is big in Southwest Florida. Today in 2005, the Huffington Post is launched. I know it's where most of you go to for your news. And in 2010 at Sawgrass, Tim Clark fires a 67 to win the Players. Mike Wallace and Tony Gwynn, both born today.
How old would Tony Gwynn have been?
Just 63. Billy Joel, 74. Stevie Wise, 58. That's Steve Eiserman for the rest of you. And Prince Fielder is 39. Eiserman's birthday would have been a lot better if somehow they would have
won the lottery.
The Red Wings instead of the Blackhawks to get the first overall pick.
This is really going to bother you, isn't it?
Did you not watch? Did you see what happened?
Apparently, it was a total blankety blank by ESPN.
They announced the third pick, and then they go to break, and they hadn't released the card yet.
Right.
I mean, it didn't look at all like the fix was in.
Especially since the team that finished third had the best odds to finish first. But who the hell wants the great player in Columbus where he'd be in the witness protection program? Right. L. Ron Hubbard published Dianetics today in 1950. The pill was approved today in 1960. No, the pill. Last episode of The Honeymooners on this day in 71. That's all I got.
All right. That's 3 more things than I had.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
There's a group in South Florida called Miracle Messages. They try to reunite homeless people on the streets with their families. They did so in Miami, getting a homeless woman back with her mother and kids that she had been away from for 28 years.
Wow.
Immediately upon going back to Wisconsin, where this woman was from, she entered a treatment program and so far still doing well with family. Pretty amazing story. They're not so amazing now. They're maybe a little disturbing. We go to Lehigh for the bad by way of downtown Fort Myers because they had their prom on Saturday. Apparently there was a fight at the prom. Certain students were told to leave. One of them was a 17-year-old named Nayla Delva. When she was walking out the door, she turned and decided to throw blows at 2 deputies, hitting the deputy in the stomach, arm, and the nose several times. When they announced she was under arrest, she continued to punch the one officer. No word on whether or not she's going to be able to graduate in her cap and gown or in her orange jumpsuit. Finally, the ugly, we go to Golden Gate, where 4 children and 1 adult were taken to the hospital after accidentally eating CBD gummies. Those are the legal ones that you get damn near every store in Florida. But apparently you don't want to leave them around the kids, if you know what I mean. According to the report, everybody is fine, but paramedics had to report to the home in Golden Gate and took, again, 4 children and 1 adult to the hospital after accidentally eating the CBD gummies. We'll keep you updated on whether mom wins Mom of the Year. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, May the 9th, 2023.
Qualifying is underway for the USGA events, both opens, men's and women's. So the USGA, the US Women's Open this year is at Pebble Beach, Mark. The very first shot of US Women's Open qualifying nationwide was hit a couple of hours ago by 9-year-old Bella Simoes.
Excuse me?
You should see her swing. It's pretty good. Now, I don't think she's got the power to be able to hit the scores necessary to qualify. But remember, Lexi Thompson, I think, qualified at what, 13? And I think a couple since then have qualified a month shy of 13.
How old is she?
9.
9. That's the same age as my daughter.
Correct. She looks taller.
Well, most everyone does.
Pretty long swing. The club gets back there parallel. But, yeah. 9. You imagine trying to qualify for a USGA event? You find out who your threesome is, and you look over, and there's a boy or girl in your group, and there's a chance that you're wearing something or something is in your golf bag that is older than they are.
When you have them write down the score, are you actually sure they can write down numbers properly? Hey, I'm going to have to double check your addition on the scorecard. No problems here, but we just got to make sure. Did you get through addition yet in school?
Or do you just do it all on your phone? You do know we're not allowed to use those here, right? Sixers Celtics, the two teams who start with P, Philadelphia and Phoenix, both on the road tonight. Which one you give the better shot?
Philadelphia.
Sixers. So you think the Sixers, who are a bigger dog by point spread, they're a 7.5-point dog. They have won a game in Boston, ironically, without Embiid, but they will play tonight with Embiid. 7.5-point dog, 7:30 TNT. Phoenix, meanwhile, lost both games in Denver by double digits. 10 o'clock or 10-ish tonight on TNT. Phoenix, a 5.5-point dog in Denver. The NBA desperately rooting for Booker and Durant and company. I think if Phoenix is going to win a game in Denver, they have a better shot tonight than they do in Game 7. And not because of the whole Game 7 thing, because actually, Booker's played in NBA Finals and Durant's played in Game 7s before. I don't think it'd be a pressure thing. I just think that in the altitude, which the Phoenix players did say was a factor in their first two games, and because Booker and Durant, Mark, have had to play 40-plus minutes in each of the last two games, that I don't know that they're going to get better as the series goes on, if you know what I mean. I think Phoenix's best shot to win a game in Denver is Game 5, not Game 7.
I actually think Denver gets it done tonight, and somehow I think they get it done in 6. I just don't think Booker and KD can continue to have to play these minutes and be accountable for this many points.
ESPN is the hockey tonight, and it's a doubleheader. Carolina, New Jersey. Devils trying to even the series at 2. Drop the puck a little after 7. Then Dallas and Seattle. The Kraken in their second year, leading 2-1. They led Did they lead Colorado, or were they down? No, they were down 2-1 against Colorado, and then they came back and tied it. But so I like Dallas tonight to even the series.
I'm with you on that one, but Seattle's impressed me with the way they just skate 4 lines. They just keep coming at you. And the Dallas goaltender had an awful game.
Ottinger, probably the best goalie left in the playoffs. Bobrovsky's the hottest, but he's probably the one with the best resume in recent years. So Rays and Orioles doing it again, 6:35. Marlins and Diamondbacks doing it again at 9:40. There is a nationally televised baseball game tonight. Red Sox Braves, 7:20 on TBS.
Pretty good game.
Yeah.
Red Sox been playing pretty well, and it's the Braves.
Boston's been playing really well, and the Braves are the best record in the National League. Second best record in baseball. Biggest bet, if you will, biggest odds tonight are the Yankees. They're minus 250 at home against Oakland. Now, Oakland's what? Worst team in baseball? They've won 8 games. But the Yankees are sending a pitcher to the hill tonight who's 0-3 with an ERA right around 6. If you were to ever throw a flyer on this big of an underdog, don't you throw it when the Yankees are sending out literally their worst pitcher? Judge comes back off the IL tonight for the Yankees. Just throwing that out there. Yankees are minus 250. And remember, Yankees need to pick up at least a game on the Rays before the Rays come to town on Thursday. They're 10 back.
By the way, if I were to lose money tonight, I would lose it on your Mets. Scherzer had a terrible outing last time up. They're playing the Reds. I got to lay a big number, but I'd still take it.
Which is interesting because Scherzer came out yesterday and basically said he's hurt. Said the injury he has is not going to get any better. Oh, good. That's good to know. Great. How old are you again? What are you getting paid? So, all the things that went right one year are all the things right now that are not going right the next. Funny how that works.
Yeah, you were starting to put the check mark in front of the Rays about a week ago. You've already traded that check mark for the Braves.
I said it a week and a half ago. Braves will win that division by 12 or more. Braves are winning the World Series.
They're up 7 right now. The Mets are a game below 500 in second place.
Correct.
Marlins are 7.5 back, 2 games below 500.
I mean, the Braves are going to win 100. The Braves won 101 games last year, and they were 500 on June 1st. I mean, if you take a look at the Braves and they're like 3 weeks away from a 162 game stretch here. Their record in those 162 games could be like 115 wins when they're done. I mean, the Braves are on a roll. Of course, get them in a best of 5 in the playoffs, and they get beat like everybody else. And the Phillies did it to them last year.
My biggest discovery from today's show is the fact that the Florida Gators have an over-under of 5.5.
5.5.
I mean, there's a lot of things we've talked about today. There's a lot going on in the sports world. The Florida Gators have an over-under of 5.5 for the season.
Hey, take a look at their schedule. Will they be favored in 6 games? At Utah? No. Home for Florida State? No. At LSU? No. Home for Tennessee? No. I mean, basically, what's going to make or break their season? The Kentucky, Missouri, South Carolina type games. And those will be probably within 4 points either way.
It's a staggering number to get your head around, though, David. It really is.
What? Because Missouri's over-under is better than Florida's?
Yeah, that would be a reason. South Carolina and Kentucky have better over-under numbers as well. Absolutely crazy.
And Mississippi State and Auburn, who each have new coaches, their over-unders are better also. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin, Seth Everett on the show tomorrow. Have a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,